Here.
Commissioner Caldwell.
Here.
Commissioner Jody Lee.
Here.
Commissioner McCool.
Here.
Vice Mayor Bradford.
Here.
Mayor Vila.
Here.
Thank you.
This time I'd like to call the Pine Ridge High School's marching band for the invocation, and if we can please stand for the pledge as well. And actually, Pastor Bradley, do you mind coming to the front to do the invocation for us, please?
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we do come now. Thank you, Lord, for the time tonight at our commission meeting, Lord. And we pray that you bestow your blessings upon it. Dear Lord, we pray for Mayor, our commissioners, our city staff, Lord, that you continue, the Lord, to be with them, Lord, uphold them, Lord, bless them and their family. And dear Lord, we pray your blessings upon our community tonight. Father, we pray that everything in this meeting tonight go decently and in order. And as we leave this place, Lord, we will all have a mutual exchange of agreement. We thank you once again for allowing us to be here. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If the Pine Ridge High School band is ready, we're good. So before they get started, I'm going to go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. As soon as I'm done with the pledge, and you can start with the national anthem, okay? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And say, another big round of applause. You may be seated. Folks, those are our students from Pine Ridge High School. So again, amazing job. Another round of applause just to thank you. To our amazing principal, you can raise your hand so people can see you. Raise your hand. That's a principal of Pine Ridge High School. Keep the great job. Thank you. All right, this time we're going to go ahead and move to the approval of minutes for the regular commission meeting of August 28, 2023, the special commission meeting of September 6, 2023, and the executive session of September 11, 2023 as presented. So moved by Commissioner Jody Lee and second by Vice Mayor Bradford. So.
Thank you.
Motion passes 7-0. This time we're going to move over to presentations, awards, and report. Before I ask the commission to go to the floor, I am going to say that we're going to pull section 5C as Senator Wright is unable to be here today and we're working to schedule the presentation of the check. At this time, we're going to go ahead and do the proclamation for National Family. So if we can please go to the commission, please. Sorry. It's here too. Okay.
Can I please have Lisa Burke with United Methodist and Pastor Bradley please come forward? Okay. We've asked these groups to come up because they are an integral part of the city of Deltona. Both organizations, it's hard to choose. You know, you have two organizations that really promote the love of family, open family community. We want to say thank you to you both. So it says, where on the fourth Monday of September, National Family Day encourages everyone to gather around the table and enjoy a meal together. And whereas the old saying goes, families who eat together stay together, but you know they may be reducing the risk of addiction. According to the National Center on Addiction, families who eat 3 or more meals a week together reduce a teen's risk of using tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs. And whereas families who eat together also learn healthy eating habits, eat smaller portions, and are less likely to stress about food. When parents engage with their children in a meal, relationships better. Children learn responsibility while helping to prepare their meal and clean up. Feel like they are part of a unit, a team. Parents become and remain the people they turn to when the significant problems crop up. And whereas we should look forward to conversing about grades, dating, borrowing the car, and move away. Don't forget the debate about politics. Our children won't always agree with us, and that's okay. Why? Because we raised to be independent thinkers and to express themselves effectively. These conversations start at the table. They shouldn't begin our children's words turned upside down. Now, therefore, we, the mayor and city commissioners of Deltona, Florida, do hereby proclaim September 26, 2023 as National Family Day. Execute as 8th day of December 2023, Mayor Santiago Lola Jr. Thank you. And you guys want to come on over? We'll get pictures with everybody. Come on in. Do we have a chocolate plate? Water in the water, sir.
This time, I'm going to also invite front just changed their name. So there's Central Florida Hispanic Chamber. Is that correct? If they can please come to the front. Whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month, known as Mes de la Herencia Hispana, is celebrated nationwide on September 15th through October 15th each year, and whereas the observation started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week and was expanded to a month by President Ronald Reagan in 1988, at which it is celebrated today. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month reflects on the history of people who were part of this land long before the birth of the United States, and whereas the Hispanics were among the earliest European settlers in the New World, and the Hispanics as a people, like their cultures, share rich history and great diversity. And whereas Hispanics have had a profound and positive influence on the country through their strong commitment to faith, to family, faith, hard work, and service. They have enhanced and shaped our national character with centuries of traditions that reflect the multi-ethnic and multicultural customs, that was a big word, of their community. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Commission of Deltona, Florida, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2023 as Hispanic Heritage Month, and call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and residents of Deltona to observe this month with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs under the year theme, Latinos Driving Prosperity, Power, and Progress in America. And as the first Hispanic mayor of the city of Deltona, I gladly present this to the Central Florida Regional Chamber of Commerce.
Sure, go ahead. Good evening, buenos noches. We are very excited to be here tonight to celebrate the many accomplishments of the Hispanic community. This chamber, we are now serving Seminole, Flagler, and Volusia County. We organically started right here in the city of Deltona. We have recently, over the last couple of years, our office was in Orange City. It's due to availability of space for office space. We have officially moved back to our home in Deltona. We are at 505 Deltona Boulevard. On October 12th, I left some flyers back there. We will be having our grand opening and Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. Our new headquarters, we now have training facilities. We've got workspace for small entrepreneurs that work from home in a very populated community. So a great opportunity to foster business in our local community and build our local economy. So thank you all for this.
All right, at this time, we're going to go ahead and move to section 6A. This is a public hearing to hear and consider comments and questions regarding the city's final millage rate and final annual budget for the coming fiscal year 2023-2024. The city of Deltona hereby proposes a millage rate of 7.35. The millage rate reflects an 8.86% increase from the rollback rate of 6.751 mils. The millage rate is higher than the rollback rate of 6.7519 in order to cover increased operating costs. The floor is now open to hear public comments and take any questions from the public.
Donald Freeman, then Robin French, then Stephanie Cox, then Lillian Flowers. Donald Freeman, please.
I want to speak on the military budget. They didn't have a check there, so. Okay.
Hello. It's been a while since I've been up here because I work 7 days a week. All right, it's been a while since I've been up here. Since I work 7 days a week. I am financially better than most people that live in this city, okay? And you guys are all, I know most of you guys, and I know you're good people, but I think the fact is that when you get up there, you don't relay the information that you get to us, and we're ill-informed. You need to do a better job of doing that. For one, we have senior citizens that live in this that are on restricted income. They cannot afford an 8% tax rate on their millage, okay? I live in paycheck to paycheck. I was like that 3 or 4 years ago. COVID happened, the inflation, gas prices are outrageous, and you guys are wanting to jack up taxes on everyday people that can't afford that percentage of a tax hike. You need to look yourselves as a city on your spending, what you're spending on. And I know how public government works. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You ask special project in District 5 or District 3, and you vote this way, all stuff. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Okay. Reduce your spending. Tighten your waste, your desires, because we can't afford unwanted spend, and the citizens out here cannot afford this tax hike. So I think we deserve to know, each and every one of when you vote, and I know you're probably going to vote yes for this tax hike, okay, which is not what the people want. But tell us why are you voting that way? Because we deserve that. Okay, you don't have to, but if you don't notice that reason why voting yes or no, that's telling us the way you think of us, the way it is, and you're going to have to reevaluate yourself when you get reelected, if you get reelected. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Robin French, please.
Robin French, 2520 Arslan Street, Deltona. I've been a resident for 42 years, before Deltona was a city. And unfortunately, due to some of the mentionings of Donald previously, due to COVID, I am now on a very fixed income. When I need something, I have to be sure I can pay for it. I can't go to citizens next door and say, hey, I need more money because my truck just broke down. Or I can't go to the bank and just say, hey, just give me some money. And that's what I feel that the commission is wanting to do. You don't seem to understand that the great majority of Deltona are retirees or near retirees, and those are on very low incomes. If you need something, I pay for it. The city needs a lot, and as the earlier speaker, Larry French, spoke about development, we have in the past not required those who want to rape and pillage our community to pay for the cost, for the environmental, for the infrastructure. And now we are reaping that. I'm on a very, very high hill, Deltona, thanks to the fact that my husband was a biologist and said this is where we're building. Our city was flooded. People around us were flooded. My lake was 2 feet from my well. I don't have city water because I've been here so long. I would have been without water. My well would have been poisoned because the lake is full of sewage. Thank you, septic tanks. I understand what everybody's going through, but you cannot come to citizens who have been here for years and years to pay for all the new buildings that are making this an issue. If you are going to approve new development, you need to make sure that new development pays for itself and its input on what is already existing. It is not fair or right to go to people who have made this community 40-some years. We've been here. We've raised our children. We've been part of the community. To ask us, who are living on Social Security because we lost our business, thank you, COVID, to pay for your short-sightedness. Cut the budget, do what needs to be done, find the money somewhere else, not in the empty pockets of your citizens.
Stephanie Cox. Stephanie Cox, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Stephanie Cox. I live at 1526 Agatha Drive. I've been here about 4 years myself, in and out. I think I left for 1 year. I've emailed each and every one of you without a response back. I'm really upset with that, because you could have at least told us or returned my email, told me why you felt like, even if it's a duplicate that you send to all of your residents, can't you open up your email and respond to us? I, too, am on a fixed income. I'm going to have to probably go get a job, and don't tell me I don't pay taxes, because I've paid numerous taxes over the years. We need to cut our budget. We need to cut our expenses here within the city, just like each and every one of us back here have done. If we have to do it, you have to do it. You need to vote full rollback. Thank you.
William Flowers. William Flowers, please.
My name is William Flowers, live at 810 Westbrook Terrace, and Commissioner McCool's district. Mayor, thank you for me to come up here. Just like most residents, my property taxes have gone up. They're proposing this year, if the budget passes, that we pay almost $5,000 property taxes. I have never paid that much my entire life. I own 10 acres in Osteen, and I didn't even pay anywhere near that. I'm a disabled veteran. We have 2 incomes, and it's hard for us to make ends meet. Brought my family here tonight with me so I can see this is how government works. You oppose going on with government, come and make your voice heard. Like a lot of the residents here, a lot of people are on fixed incomes. A lot of people are trying their best to try to make ends meet. Everything is going up from what you're hearing here. The thing that is not going up for a lot of people is their pay. Their pay is staying the same. Gas on up, electric has gone up. We went and bought solar panels on our house. Pray to God that it helps us with our electric bill, because our electric bill is $290, $300, $400 a month. And it's to the point to where a lot of these senior citizens, they're going to get to the point where we have to decide what we're going to do. Are they going to pay for their medication, or are they going to pay their mortgage payment? For us, our mortgage payment's gone up every single year we've been in the city. And it's gotten to the point to where we pay for an overage every single year on our property, which means now we owe our mortgage company more money. We had to go and refinance our house, because when we first got our house, we were paying $1,100 a month for our house. And because property taxes shut, we had to pay almost $1,500 a month for our house. When I lived in Osteen on 10 acres, this we ever paid was $1,358. That's what we paid for our property, and that was 10 acres. Now, gotten to the point, even with everything on our property, homestead exemption, disabled veteran, I'm not a 100% disabled veteran, so I still pay taxes. You're still looking at almost $5,000 a year at our property, which, if you kind of break that down, that's almost $500 extra a month that we have to figure out where we're going to come up with this money from. And a lot of the residents can't afford that. A lot of people, just like you heard, a lot of the residents that have their houses paid off have to drop homeowners insurance. Now, here in the state of Florida, it's not a good idea, because it's not a matter of, if we get hit by a hurricane, it's a win. And hurricanes are very unpredictable. And as everybody saw, when we got hit with Ian, the whole city flooded If we didn't have property, or if we have homeowners insurance on a lot of the homes here, a lot of the residents would be without a home. They would have no way to be able to afford any of that. And with a lot of the homeowners insurance in the state of Florida as well too, a lot of them are pulling out of the state. So a lot of the residents are stuck with whatever homeowners insurance we get. And those home insurance that we can get, they're expensive. And they're going to keep going up because they know we need it. And either pay it or we don't. And that's the reasoning. You either pay or you don't. And if you have a mortgage on your house, there is no you pay it or you don't. You don't pay, you get rid of your homeowners insurance, they're going to force place it on you, and they don't care how much it costs. And either you pay it or they're foreclosing your house. For us, we have to figure out when we have shortcomings in our budget, we got to figure out what's going on. We got to figure out where we can get money from and where we can put it and what we can afford. I just asked that the commission does the same thing, just like every everyday citizens have to do. When we have to figure out where we're going to come up with the money from, look at our budget, and we figure them there. So I'd like to thank the commission for allowing me to come up here. Mayor, thank you very much. Thank you.
Richard Bellick.
Same thing as everybody else. You're in a poor city, the people are poor, a lot of them are fixed incomes, low-paying jobs. You're better than that. You've been here for a while. You so say, oh, it's not a tax increase. It is a tax increase. Every penny you take is a tax increase. Come on. Why do people have to come up time after time and say, help us, help us, help us? You took an oath. You're supposed to do this automatically. We can't do this to our citizens. Your budget. You know what I mean when I say this right here. Extra money every month, charges what she wants. He says a word. Come on. Cut, cut, cut. You know, if really had a brain, you should get Sosa up there. Sosa show you how to $1 and how to run the city. But no, you won't do that. You know why? Because you're jealous of them. That's why. Jealous. You hear me again? Jealous. He makes you look like duckies.
Cheryl,
But you do it.
Mr. Bell, please keep the personal attacks down.
Okay, sorry, Mayor. But it's the best idea you've got. It's the best idea you've got. You got a new city manager. How long is he going to last? The guy's a good guy. I wished him luck. I had nothing against him. I wanted Sosa city manager. I figured he'd do a better job. But I'm not going to begrudge him his livelihood, and I'm going to give him a chance. Get Sosa there. Give him a position. Let him work with the guy. You just can't match him when it comes to IQs. You just can't do it. You just know it. So what are you going to do? You're going to keep paying the city attorney every dollar she puts in for nobody checks it. You hire new people. You buy all kinds of trucks that sit out in the parking lot. And then you just come and say, oh, we need to do it. You know why you need to do it? Because you don't know what you're doing. So it's a personal attack, excuse me. But you don't need this stuff. How many times? Parks. When I go by, I see very little in some of these parks. I don't even see no people in some of them. Cut a couple of them. Tell the people this is what we do. We got to save money or taxes go up. It's simple. You just can't get any kind of advisor to help you with this. You spend the same money every year on the same things. But you keep spending it. You buy vehicles you don't need. Look at the city manager problem, all the money they're taking. Look at all the lawsuits that are coming. Come on, you just got to be better than that. It's time, really. Do something for the people. What do you want them to do? Hate you? I mean, do something. You keep saying we go this is not a raise. It is a raise. Stop the bull. It's a raise. And now, we got commissioners there that other commissioners, just follow them. It's true, you know it. One person up there tells two what to do, and another person on the other side
Bellick,
tells the
please
other
stick
two
to the
women what to do.
subject.
All right, Mayor, I'm getting a little hot. Help the people. Have a good night, Mayor.
Thank you.
Cheryl Brown. Cheryl Brown, please. Cheryl Brown.
evening, everybody. My name is Cheryl, and I live in Deltona Lakes, and I'm here to discuss the proposed tax increase and why aren't we privy to a detailed copy of the tax budget and where all the money is being allocated. Where is all the tax revenue being generated from all the new housing developments? If we all paid our fair share, we wouldn't need to continue to put the burden on the homeowners. As everyone is aware, the cost of living, like everyone is saying, in every aspect continues to rise, yet our salaries are staying the same, especially those folks that are senior citizens like myself who are on a fixed income. You are pushing the residents of Deltona out. Then what do you have to work with? Nothing. Instead of giving tax breaks to the new residential developers, why not consider putting in commercial businesses to help with the tax rate? With a population of Deltona of approximately 86,000 people, second big to the city of Orlando, we need real business in here to help the residents ease the tax burdens. Not your Dollar Generals, not your Wawas, not your Wendy's, a business. And lastly, what is the job description of code enforcement? We have houses that have violated city building codes. Code enforcement continues to drive by, riding around constantly, and they put a blind eye on these properties that just do things without getting a permit. And when they don't get a permit to put a building of a little house in the back or a fence, this is lost revenue to the city. Thank you.
Catherine, roll in, please.
Go get him.
Go get him? Oh, I don't think so. I don't want to go to jail. Because I'm from Buffalo, and I can get real stupid. Unfortunately, I'm old, I've seen the good days, and I'm sick of these new days, straight up. I can't afford this tax hike. I can't afford house insurance. My parents moved here 40 years ago, and it was considered a bedroom community. It isn't anymore. Old people, most of the old people here are on fixed income. The majority of them. We can't afford this stuff. We're just trying to live. I don't bother nobody. I just want, my electricity to run, my water to run, that kind of thing. I'm tired of Spectrum, but my autistic brother can't work a different type of TV. Or would leave Spectrum. It's a shame. It is. It's disgusting. And you guys, you like your jobs? Because you can vote it out. Just like you got the seat, you can leave the seat. The people are who you work for. You work for me. Simple. I don't bother y'all. I don't come around here and tell y'all what to do, but you tell me what to do. And I can't afford it. It's simple. When my mother died, I thought I'd be able to get a part-time job. Well, because of the doctors we have in this area and numerous MRIs, I never got a bone density test. So when I fell, they cut 1 1/4 inches off my leg. You think somebody's going to hire me? Anybody want to hire me? I got college education. You know what I mean? Really, seriously, cut it out. There's other ways to do things, more than way to skin a cat. You know that? Yeah, okay, think about it. Think about all the rest of the old people that won't come around here because they're heartbroken. Think about it. Thank you.
Kathy Bryan. Kathy Bryan, please.
Good evening, Kathy Bryan, Deltona. There it is. I guess it got turned off. Okay. Anyways, you guys, I think you have the point about what people can and can't afford. There's a lot of projects that need to be done, and you have to have money to do that. And unfortunately, it's coming at a time when everybody's getting hard. This is like the last straw. I would like to see is because I think you guys are going to pass this. If you do,
Kathy, I don't mean to interrupt you. Miss Mary and the lady that spoke, if you guys can take the conversation. We're trying to hear Miss Bryant. Thank you. I apologize.
okay, is how you handle what you're going to do with honey. There's been a lot of waste. I could identify a lot of things. And so my issue is if you're going to pass this, do something with it that's benefit the people who are in trouble out there. That's number one. Number two, I see people waving signs. I don't have an issue with signs, but you guys created a decorum policy that did include props and stuff like that are being held up and can be disruptive, or a podium. So is it only certain people that can't bring props, or is everybody? Be fair. Have a good night.
Good.
Maria Rodriguez.
Maria from the city of Deltona. Hi, guys. I feel like every time I come up here, it's fun enough I keep hearing the same things. People are sending you guys emails, y'all don't respond. I work in IT. It is so simple in my mind to set up an automatic message that goes out to people when they reach out to you. If you haven't reached out and talked to your T crowd, that is hilarious to me, because it really will, if it's a security issue, say that. Explain it to us. Give us a reason. Otherwise, people keep losing faith that the information that you're giving us is accurate, transparent, or true. So please be more transparent with us. Please, I implore you all to examine how it is that you feel when we up here taking time out of being with our families, out of being in homes that we pay a lot of money to live in, and how it is that you feel when we're talking to you about our lives. If there's anything in there, I implore the Holy Spirit to visit each and every one of your hearts, to give you clarity as to why it is that you're feeling that way about your constituents. Because many people have said already, the older generation that can't support all of this, they're heartbroken. The younger generation that is working multiple jobs, trying to raise families, getting an education if they can afford it, fighting, clawing their way, can't do this anymore. So when we come to you and we tell you this, please, I implore that you look into your own hearts and see what you can live with doing to people. And if that weight doesn't sit with you all, even when you're trying to sleep at night, you need to leave this position. Because the weight of the city of Deltona and our needs are on your backs, and that is an honor, because you chose this. So I plead with you, please remember what brought you into those seats and who brought you to those seats. Don't do this.
Julian Ivory Saccone. Julian Ivory Saccone, please.
Hello, Julie Cohn, Deltona. Last time I came to the meeting and spoke about the stormwater and whatever other increase we didn't want. Lots of people were here. I'm kind of disappointed on the turnout tonight. I guess it wasn't advertised. We didn't get a letter in the mail saying, hey, they're taking money. But it's just the same thing over and over. Like, we said no then, we couldn't afford that little bit. So now, I don't know what makes you think we can afford this almost 9% property tax increase. And I mean, I have never been involved in any of this till recently. I got involved in community, in politics locally to change, but truly, I see nothing has changed since I've gotten involved, and that's a very big disappointment to me. I hear a lot of good people that come up here and speak that ran against you folks, and they all lost, and so I guess I got to work a little bit harder on this next round, because when they from over here, they agree with what I'm saying, but you all just keep on raising tax in one way or another. So I'm telling you, don't raise them.
David Sosa. David Sosa, please.
David Sosa. Who knows what the significance of December 16, 1773 is? The Boston Tea Party. Taxation without representation. That is what this commission has done this year. The Deltone City Commission has failed to have adequate budget workshops, has failed to keep residents informed. After looking for the information on the city website, which was kind of hidden, unless you knew it was on a July meeting and some kind of note, you'd never find it. So for you guys to sit here with what was presented, is just unconscionable. Okay, now the commission did vote 7-0 to increase stormwater by 25% and solid waste by 15%. Then a week later, you had your first workshop on a budget, which was like 3 months too late. And you, with limited information, no discussion, no presentations from department heads, you didn't discuss needs or future goals. You discussed nothing. Okay? Anita, you had it right when you said this at the last meeting. Individuals, the hardest thing is individuals not having information. And whose fault is that? Is this their fault? No, it's the city's fault. You didn't provide any. Okay? Now, then you sent out notices to the tax collector with only one reading for stormwater assessments, special assessments. Then the second meeting, this room was filled with about 250 people who said, hell no. All 7 of you flipped your votes from yes increase and no increase. I'm disappointed we didn't have that many people tonight as well, because I got a feeling you're going to increase it. Okay? Now, Dana, you keep saying we got 100,000 people. Taxes aren't based on 100,000 people. What they're based on is 42,891 taxable properties, which is a 448 parcel increase from last year. So you've now got more tax value from 448 properties. Let's talk millage rate. Millage rate 7.65 this year. You put 735 this year, which is a drop in millage. However, taxable values have increased. And the property appraiser has given you 6.75 as a rollback rate, which would eat up some of that taxable value. But anything over 6.75 is an increase. Now, if you did your homework from taxable values from fiscal year 23 to fiscal year 24, which I don't think you did because there was no information anywhere on that, so I don't know how you knew it, but fiscal year 23 taxable value was $3.9 billion. This year, 24, taxable value is $4.4 billion. I had to go to the property appraisers to get that information because I couldn't find it on the website. So how much money are we collecting from these millage rates? 2022, we collected $30.2 million. If we go to 2023 at the 6.35, you're going to collect almost $34 million, which is almost, what, $4 million a year before. What are you going to do with it? Nobody knows. Okay, went to 6.75, you're still going to collect $31 million, which is almost $1 million increase. But then again, you're not paying Amazon back tax money. So that's about another $600,000 we're going to have in the kitty. So that's about $1.6 million. That should definitely cover the cost of PI. Okay? Now, Dana's comments. I spend your money wisely. We just don't have enough of it. That's crazy. That's the worst I've ever heard. We spend your money wisely. $8,000 lawsuit, $40,000 to a city manager increase without him even asking for it. Here's a list of everything that is not going to get done by going
Thank you, sir. Christian Rivera, please.
Good evening, guys. My name is Christian Rivera, 714 Lola Avenue. I am new to this whole home ownership and everything. We just bought a house on February 24th. And the dream of me coming over here with my family, raising them has become very hardship. And the amount of taxes that we were told, buying the house that we were going to pay, to what we're going to pay actually $4,000 above it. I see a lot of people that are here on their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70 years, and it seems like I'm not going to be able to be on that percentage if we keep raising taxes like that, and I'm going to just be forced out to move somewhere else. So that's my take on it. I mean, if there's any other way you can, guys, spend the money wisely without affecting us in that kind of way, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Tara D'Erico, Deltone. I don't need to repeat what everyone else has already said that you already have heard multiple times. I did just want to make a suggestion that I know me personally, what would be helpful is moving forward is to know the actual annual operating costs of just running our city are, and then what is the revenue the city takes in from the residential property taxes. I know for me, a lot of times I'm very analytical, so to see it in front of me helps me to figure out what the right thing to do is. And then also, what is the bottom line increase or decrease in revenue to the city? And then if there is an increase, and I know a few have already mentioned this, just give some bullet point of, hey, with this increase, either's got to make up for additional services, or these are the new services we're going to provide, or maybe these are some of the items that have been on that ongoing list of projects that need to be completed, right? This is what that difference is going to do, and we can get those projects done. And then it also helps us stay informed so we could track that progress with you all throughout there. You don't have an easy decision to make tonight. I wish you all the best of luck when you're deciding how to vote, and thank you for your time.
Gallagher.
Hi, Kathy Gallagher, longtime resident, first-time speaker. So I have been to a couple meetings. I applaud everybody who comes up here because they have the guts to say how much they're hurting, and we're imploring you to listen to us, to understand that it's not just making ends meet, but a matter of not sinking. Where everything's gone up, the electric, everybody talks about it, the car insurance, the homeowners insurance, everything. You can't fix everything, but there's things that need you to help us with so that we're not sinking, we're not going deeper into debt. And we hope that you and do the right thing by the residents. There's shiny new things that are on the list. Cross them out. Give us a year. Give us a break. 1 year. Visit the next year. Just do the right thing by us. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Valerie Vadney. Valerie Vadney.
Good evening. Valerie Vadney, Deltona, Florida. I wanted to talk about a message that I got today on my phone with my electric bill. So I just paid my bill, $431 last week, and I get a message today. The mid-cycle is $147 I've used up until yesterday. So I said, well, let me take a look at my bill. And there is a municipality tax franchise fee, and that totals $50. So even with the $147, double that, $300 plus the $50 in taxes, I'm looking at $350 minimum, this bill. So my ask is, that's about $600 a year in taxes that are collected from the electric company that goes back to the city, because you've entered into an agreement as a franchise in addition to that utility tax. Now, the electric company doesn't tell you what you can do with the money. I want to know what the city's doing with the money. Where's that being reinvested? I think the monies are being allocated, I don't want to say are wasted. And I understand, we got to pay taxes. There's death in taxes. It's just part of reality. But how it's being allocated and how it's being spent needs to be addressed. There's been a particularly difficult year, Hurricane Ian last year, house insurances doubling, tripling, insurance companies pulling out of here. You've got electric bills that are skyrocketed through hot temperatures and everything else like that, but you've got agencies that are able to assist some of these customers that are going through difficult times. So my ask is that this year, that you do bare bones, you do the priorities, probably which is stormwater, get that taken care of, and stop spending where it's not necessary. Do we need vehicles? We don't need vehicles. We can put that off another year. There's other things where we can cut back and just do the bare bone. Ask each department to say, or tell them, you got to live with this. I don't know. But I just think the ask from the residents this year is just too much. It's overwhelming, and they're feeling that crunch. And I'm feeling it too. I can afford it. So I just ask that we take a look at this, go with a bare bones budget for this year, regroup, and to look at it next year, and be more transparent as to where the money's going. But I would like to know if we are reevaluating the franchise fee, and what's that formula? How is that determined, that franchise fee and that municipal utility tax? Is it a formula, a percentage? Do we review it every year? How many years are in this franchise fee? Franchise agreement between electric companies, because there's two, Florida Power and Duke Energy here. So I would like to know that as well, and whether or not we review it to reduce it, whatever the case may be. But thank you for your attention.
Elizabeth Chavez.
Elizabeth Chavez, Deltona. So kind of piggybacking on something the lady had just said about how many years is the contract for those fees. So why don't you do these kind of raises that you want to do according to how many years you come back and assess those fees, right? So 35,000 residents times 600, because mine came out very close to hers this month too. That's about $19 million. So yeah, the question is, where would that go? And then also, how about if you guys, because I know that you guys listen to us. I know that, I'm going to say who, but I know that you guys do listen to us. You hear us out because you allow this portion to even happen. So thank you for that. And thank you for taking some of our ideas and running with them, like the key of the city, right? And then doing a festival. But for example, would you consider doing a flea market here in Deltone? A food market, other than the Italy's water that are doing it now, opened up sites. You know what we do as a community, a city community? We just simply come and help out the person that's next to us, basically try to make some money. So if you were to do it like that, maybe we'd be more considerate in some of these things that you're doing. I don't understand the $5 million that you guys were talking about in a last city meeting for city buildings or owned city buildings, $5 million. Is that yearly? $5 million. How about having a market open up in one of those areas or in one of those locations? So building contracts that are not vetted, how does that go? I don't vet it. And then also, I've been coming to these city meetings for about 7 years, because I remember when my son was born, I decided I was going to be involved in my community. And I've been coming here for 7 years. And the first meet that I came in here to, it was basically just Albert Bryant in the back. But I do remember that the person that sits in your seat, Santiago, right now, started speaking about how some of the stuff happens here, the city meetings. And I'm going to be honest with you, I felt it was more than a threat, more of a threat than a welcome. So this is what we feel. And this is the feelings that we get. Maybe we shouldn't do it by feelings, right? Maybe you should just get up. There's a lot of people here saying to you guys, you know, have mercy. We beseech you to have mercy. In a court of law, you say that to a judge, and sometimes on those horrible cases, I know, there will be mercy given. Give it here tonight. Give it here tonight, because they need it. I need it. And the residents that you are here now today, I don't know if you're feeling it too. I don't know if you're concerned with this raise, right, for your children in the future. I don't know. You know, people think I have a business, I have a nonprofit, but I know that many of you do have run a business. I know that many of you have businesses, and maybe it doesn't affect you so much in your pocket, but I think about if my grandma was alive and she had to pay these taxes, she would probably die of a heart attack. So I'm just asking you again, listen to word wisdom from your constituents. Please do
Carolyn
not
Jenkins,
raise.
please. Carolyn Jenkins.
Hello. I'm new at this. I've never done this before. I'm a creative. I'm an artist, and I'm also a senior citizen. I'm 70. Yeah, and I've been through cancer and heart problems. You all need to think a little bit more creatively. I don't know if you work 15 hours at your job here, or if it's a 40-hour job here. You're really not spending enough time thinking of better solutions. When you got Amazon in, I don't know if you gave them tax breaks or something, or if they're paying their share of tax. We need probably more businesses like that out in the area to bring in some more income. I think you should sell that convention center you built. I know it seems weird. When I found out there was one, my husband and I went out. Took us an hour to find it. It was open, one person in the whole building cleaning, and it echoed. That thing should be used 7 days a week if it's going to provide any income. We've only been in this town 5 years. I'm from Winter Park in Maitland area, and I was pretty involved with city there. When we moved here 5 years ago, we could walk around the block and count 4 abandoned houses on Nardello. So, and the taxes go up, I guarantee it's going to end up like that again. There's a lot of rentals, and they're just going to go because nobody's going to be able to afford them, and they're not being kept up either. We have a couple rentals right on our block that look like slum. So, you think it's a sleepy town? I think we're coma. And I think we need help. Please, please pity the seniors. We're on a fixed income. We're on Social Security. That's all I've got. I got heart issues. I'm still going through cancer treatments. I can't work. And I used to be a mailman.
Dave Muniz?
Hi. I was here when we had to pay $28,000 for water disposal because we couldn't make a decision in a timely manner. I was here when we discussed the attorney's wages, which is to $500,000 a year. I was here when the developer came in looking to build a 400-unit complex, and we approved it. And we approved an additional 200 units to it. And then on top of that, we let them walk out with a $10 million tax break on a technicality. Yeah, you're gonna come to us, try to squeeze pennies out of us, which is ridiculous. Which I don't understand. I really don't. And nobody ever gives us answers, ever. And we're getting angry, and that's what we want. We want a community. We want to be neighbors. We want to be able to talk to each other, and we want to be able to build something. But all you're getting is angry people. So I just ask that you reconsider this. Thank you.
Rory Howington?
Hi. Really quick, I saw the budget just right when I walked in the door. It appears that we are budgeting about $1 million per full-time employee. That seems like a lot. There's an increase of about $2.5 million in the budget for that. I'd like to propose a hiring freeze for the next year, with the exception of the city manager. Obviously, if it's a position we need, we need to hire that position. Additionally, if you add in the $5 million for the land that's in the budget, we could potentially do a full rollback. I would like to be looked at. Thank you.
Virgil Ford?
My name is Virgil Ford. I live in Pine Tree Acres in Deltona. I have a lot of questions concerning the budget. It's very hard to read, number one, but there's a phrase, it seems like there's a lot of pork in it.
Mr.
an
Ford, if
example.
you're going to make comment about the budget, that's next on agenda. This is just about the millage.
Okay.
Yeah. I apologize. You can speak when the time comes
fine.
about the
Thank you.
budget. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, that closes public comments.
Okay, at this time, we're closing public participation. We have Commissioner Jody Lee and then Commissioner McCool on.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, there's a lot of ingenuous, I don't know, fear porn, whatever word you want to use for it, that's going on about this. Right now, all the people in the city are paying 7.5. That's what you paid last year for our millage, 7.65. We're talking about lowering it to 7.35. So we're lowering it. We're not raising it. It's already been raised a few years ago. We're starting to roll it back a little bit. So we're not raising it 9%. It's a 9% or 8 point something percent over the full rollback rate, but it hasn't been a roll rate years. So we're not raising it up. I pulled one person that's been posting, come to the meeting, it's a 9% rate increase, 9%. These are tax rates are all on the internet, and you can look at them. But in 2020 and 2021, this one person paid $196 to Deltone in her tax. The next year, in 2022, they paid $191, so it went down last year. What proposed pay this year is $147. That's just taxes. That's not schools. That's not nothing. That's just to Deltona. So this specific person that comes up here and pushes 9%, they're being disingenuous about the truth of it. Right now, we're paying 7.65. We're lowering it to 7.35. So it's actually lowering a little bit. It's not the full rollback rate that it hasn't been for years, but we're still lowering. We are not raising it in Deltona. We can't control the school, the hospitals, the county, none of it. The state, we can't control none of that. We did vote down the stormwater, which has cost us a problem in the long run. We did not approve the solid waste for the trash. People wanted it, we didn't raise it. We find there's ways in our budget, there is a lot of things that we can cut. I'm not going to get on a budget yet, it's another subject, another topic. But we are actually lowering the millage a little bit, which is lowering our taxes. And this stuff I showed you right here, the percentage of your tax bill, look at the amount of it that comes to Deltona. We're actually going to lower it a small fraction with the vote tonight. Well, I'm going to vote on lowering it. I would love to go back to the full black rate. We can't. Everybody's talking, all the prices of this are up, the prices of this are up. It goes for the same thing in the city. We want to buy tires for our vehicles, the price have went up. We want to paper for stuff, all this stuff, anything, electricity, it goes up for the city too. It's not just people we all live in the city. My prices have went up at home. It goes up for here too. Every piece of paperwork, anything we want to fix, we want to paint, everything we do is going up. It's not just you guys, not us. It's everybody. But this notion of, oh, we're raising it. We are not raising it. That is such the most disingenuous post on Facebook that everybody wants to run with. Look at what you're paying Deltone. If you bought your house last year or the year before, sorry, your value is going to go skyrocket. That's not our fault. If you have a new mortgage and your insurance is including your insurance, I'm sorry, but guess what? It's going to go up. Insurance rates are nuts, and the government's not doing nothing to protect us from the insurance companies. That is still not our fault. We are lowering it in the city. We are not raising it. So I wish people would start being honest. What's proposed now is lowering Deltona's taxes. Stop being dishonest and pushing something that's not the truth. Thank you.
Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank the public for coming out and speaking, because whether I agree with you or not, it's really hard to come out, spend your time, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your passion that you have, and thank you for coming out. I also got emails, and I answered these emails where people said taxes, lower taxes, and I've tried to remain transparent and talk about that and use things as educational moments for myself, right? And in doing that and looking at some of the emails that were sent to me, I looked up the property taxes, right? Because as Commissioner has just said, that if you have bought a house in the last couple of years, I am really sorry for your pain, because again, a lot of your state homeowners insurance, we have no control, and the governor's doing nothing to help. It'll be a couple of years, he says, before that's addressed, which is the most back-breaking thing going on with the state of Florida right now as far as hitting your pocketbook, is what is happening to the out-of-control insurances. Know this, right? And I encourage you to write your state representative in Tallahassee regarding this matter. I want you to look at your tax bill also, as I looked at mine really closely again this year, when we talk about the safety fund that we're paying to, when we look at what school board charges are. Some of you are paying, and listen, I've heard this argument all the time, but it's just the way that it is. You're paying school taxes. You don't have kids in school, you have grandkids in school, but we all have to pay them. I have grandkids in school, but that's it. But we have to pay them because it's communal. That's what we have to do. So I looked up some of these taxes. My taxes are actually going down this year. I've been in my same home for 18 years. I live in a 1,500 square foot house. I live in a normal neighborhood. That's what I pay. In 2022, I paid $191. In 2023, I'm paying $175. That's just for what I'm paying Deltona, okay? I looked up 3 of these. One person, $85 they paid for their Deltona taxes in 2022, and 2023 is going to be, this year, is going up by $4.63. And I could go on, but I'm not. That's not the point. But what I'm saying is the dialogue needs to improve between the city and the resident. We're charging taxes. You need to understand what we're doing with the money. Tonight, in my special request to the city manager, I had a long conversation today up with finance. I spoke with somebody I think that we all respect in this seat. She was on the phone also. And what we talked about were things that were glaring in the way we have prepared, proposed, and otherwise talked about this year's budget, which I say the process was under failure to our residents. And I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to look you in the face. I'm going to tell you that. A lot of those decisions were made, and in talking, we needed to talk about what the fund balance is, which I'll discuss. I'll talk about the solid waste fund, and we'll know that the stormwater estimate has gone away, but I mean, it's part of the bigger picture, okay? And what we'll be proposing, and you will hear if you leave or re-hear, is that we have a quarterly budget review, whereas we look at what we're doing budgetarily and we report back to residents, and then we also have a monthly dashboard so that you see where your money is going, what you were working on at the time, because I believe that absence of knowledge creates a lot of false narratives, which is purely political in nature. So I want to open up the door so that you can understand what I'm going to be, we are going to be doing with the money, with your tax dollars. We do need that transparency, and again, we failed you with that. So I'll be talking about that later in my comments. I understand what the tax value of the homes here in Deltona are. I think that I broke down the numbers of how many people pay. What they pay, $0 to $500, is about 46%. 46% of our community, residents in Deltona, 46% pay $0 to $500 per year. So that's half that's what is paid. So when you talk about taxable value, you can have taxable value, but it doesn't mean that's what you're paying in your taxes back to the city based on what your disability is, based on what you have worked hard for, based on your homestead exemption. So I'm just going to put that out there right now also. So as we move along, I want you to hear that when we move forward with the budgets moving forward, that we have a cohesive way of letting you know 4 times a year what we're doing with your money. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McCool. And I just want to add something. I'm not going to sit here as your mayor to give you any of you a lecture, right? We're all. We'll tell you, as someone that did vote for Mr. Chisholm's contract, we failed you. I failed you as your mayor as far as being more vocal, making sure of this being more transparent. So under my, when it comes time, I do have a list of stuff that I am going to ask for consensus on moving forward. So regardless of who sits in that seat, there is a budget policy in place that needs to happen for our residents, regardless. It needs to happen for our residents. My taxes, I didn't look at anybody else's taxes. I looked at mine, right? Everybody here knows I'm a renter. It's been, that agenda has been pushed over and over. My taxes actually for my rent, because my landlord wanted to increase my rent, it's increased $72 for no exemptions at all. No exemptions at all. So my taxes are increasing to $72. We are, to Commissioner Jody Lee's point, we are rolling it back. Not a full rollback, but we are rolling back. It's still a tax increase. Let's not be disingenuous. It's still a tax increase. Anything outside of a full rollback is a tax increase, all right? But instead of paying 13%, instead of it being 13% increase, it's going to be an 8% increase from full rollback. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and either Mr. Interim City Manager, Mr. Woodcock can answer this, or Mary can, whoever wants to. Even if it were to go full rollback, is there not still going to be an increase in taxes?
Full rollback generates the same amount of revenue as the year before.
She said full rollback generates the same revenue as the previous year.
But when you add the adjustment that the property tax or appraisal, which a lot of people don't talk about this, adds to that full rollback, you're still not getting a full rollback at the end of the day, because what do they add, like 3% on top of that? Yes, the cost of living that they add to that.
The state of Florida does adjust for personal income.
Can she get a microphone?
Yeah, can you say that on the microphone, Mary? Because the residents want to hear you.
Rollback rate takes the assessed value, the taxable assessed value, and they back into how much revenue would be generated at what millage. So 6.75, I can't remember exactly what it is, 6.7519 is full rollback. That generates the same amount of money, tax revenue, as the prior year. The state does have something called they adjust for personal income, so they would adjust that rate because of the increase in personal income. So it's slightly higher, but that just affects really how many votes that we need. So I do want to just add something that I live in Deltona too, and 7.35, my tax value, my tax went up like $62. And I've just been, the people who've been speaking tonight, I've gone and looked at their trim notices. With one exception, nobody's taxes increased more than $10 for the city of Deltona, not Volusia County, not Hospital Authority, just the city of Deltona. We did not increase the assessment, and actually one speaker, their taxes went down $215 from the prior year. So I really recommend that folks take a look at their trim notice. If they're not sure how to read it, please call the finance department. I'll be happy to explain that. I know ad valorem is a complicated subject, and a lot of people don't understand the trim notice. So I just want to put that out there. It's just a way to educate the residents to what they're actually paying, not just the percentage that everyone seems focused on.
Thank you. The last thing I do want to bring up, and then I know I got Commissioner Burbank and then the Vice Mayor, is there is, and we've been working with the Volusia County tax collector on this. There is and I'm going to say this because it is what it is, a predatory lending thing that's going on with, it's called PACE, right? You need a new roof, and they are targeting specifically our senior citizens. You need a brand new roof. I will tell you the city of Deltona does not have an interlocal government agreement with any of these people. They will go and put an assessment, and they will add it to your tax bill. I know because one people that sent me an email have that on their tax bill. And they are now going to pay, which they cannot afford. They got a $70,000 roof done that was probably only worth 20-something thousand, and now they have to pay for that $1,000 a year. $6,000. You can look it up and reach out to your tax collector. Anything that you see as pace on it, run away. Run away. So I'm going to call. Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to call Commissioner Burbank and then Vice Mayor Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Arithmetic aside, I've heard comments about issues have been accumulating, and I've heard comments the last several meetings we've had where we discussed finances about cans laying in roads that have been kicked down that road, and we are in the road now, and that can is in front of us. I have no intention of being on a commission that some point in the future, somebody's going to say, I kicked a can down the road. We are running a business, and our expenses have gone up like yours have. We are all in the same boat, as has been explained in some detail. We feel the pain all. Thank you, Mayor.
Vice Mayor Bradford.
I can't tell where everybody has pretty much said the same thing. Again, thank you for coming out. I don't want you to think that we're not listening. Mary, if you can, and I hate to call it up, we need to get mics for them over there. How much are we short this year because we have to get these projects done, the vital projects? How much are we having to transfer from the general fund just to cover our budget? How much are we short? Was it 500? So I want to have it out in all transparency of, since we did come backwards to 7.35, we are actually short on the budget, and we're having to fund to cover it.
This is a deep story.
The assessments, yes, like we have to,
Okay.
How much are you transferring, or can you explain that?
Yeah, stormwater.
Because we do stormwater assessment.
Yeah, that's been underfunded for years. And both stormwater and solid waste, we have not raised those assessments it's 5 and 6 years, and I can't remember which is which. So the revenue has stayed stagnant, it has not moved. But the prices still continue to increase. Stormwater has been underfunded for years, and it wasn't critical because we had a drought for a long time, and then when we got all this massive flooding, it became an urgency, really. So we've had to, because the assessment wasn't raised, we are transferring money from general fund to shore up those two funds. For stormwater, transferring $2.5 million from general fund to stormwater. And for solid waste, we have to transfer $1.3 million just to be able to. And for stormwater, we're doing minimum projects. We're really going to be making a lot of headway. City manager can speak to that a little more, in greater detail than I can, or Phyllis.
This is because we didn't raise the stormwater.
Yeah, ma'am, it's because the stormwater rate was increased. This time around is one of the reasons for the shortfall on the stormwater side. Also, the solid waste fee will not increase. We're having to pull money out of the general fund to be able to make up for the solid waste. On top of that, with the solid waste, the tipping fees at Volusia County landfill have gone up. So all those things combined, on the solid waste side, you also have the CI index. You have fuel like you do with your power bills, et cetera, all those types of things. On the stormwater side, we had to transfer money into the stormwater fund from general fund to be able to make things work. We're still not going to be able to do a lot of the projects at this point. We are doing the Teresa Basin study, that was approved, I think it was the last meeting, so we're going there. We are working on, and we are, at some point, we're going to come to you with a presentation about grants that we have submitted for. We had Senator Wright, I believe it is, that could not make it tonight to talk. They were presenting us a total of $3.5 million in grants for both water plants, 1.5 for Fisher and for the Eastern Wastewater Plant. There's some other grant funding initiatives that we have sent forward to the state for additional funding. So we're constantly staffed, and we have a project manager that's working on a lot of the grant stuff. We are constantly working together to try to find more funds to help with the shortfalls that we have. Also, keep in mind with that, though, is that you have to also the matching grant. If you get a grant, usually you have a match, and with these, let's take, for example, Elkham Road elevation, for example. There's going to be a 50% match from the city. Any of the stormwater projects that we end up getting, it's going to be the same way. So we are going to be getting funds, that's true, but we're also going to have to put some money, skin in the game, if you will, from the city.
And those are things that I think is vital that they hear. Like, they think we're just taking the money and blowing it. And these are items that are critical for them to understand why we do what we do. So that's why, thank you guys for explaining that. I move to adopt resolution number 2023-48. The interim city manager has the authority to correct Scrivener errors and the like.
There's a motion by the Vice Mayor and a second by the Commissioner Burbank. We do have Commissioner McCool and Commissioner Avila Vasquez on the board, and after they speak, we'll have the city attorney of the ordinance.
Thank you. And Glenn, could you, or Mary, remind us, the assessment, the stormwater assessment, right? How much was that valued at if we had gotten that done, the stormwater assessment?
Mary, can you speak to that, please?
Okay, this year for 2023, we paid $108 a year for stormwater. The proposed increase in June was to move it to $160 a year, but that was voted down.
And that revenue was how much, Mary? How much was that revenue? 10 million. It was. I know that it was 10, 12 million.
It was only a couple $1 million.
For just the storm.
Yes.
Water. Yeah. The reason I asked that is because I know that in my district, right, there are serious flooding issues that were going to be addressed with that money. Now these projects have been pulled because the money for the stormwater assessment was going to projects that were long-term issues that we had instead of just maintenance. So now the stormwater, as of right now, we're just on the maintenance side and not the new project side or anything like that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have money for the new stormwater projects or some stormwater projects that we were going to do, and we had a shortfall, so that's why we're having to move the money up. I'm not trying to harp on that, but I'm trying to remind us that there are those projects that we can't do now, so.
Go ahead. Commissioner Avila Vasquez, and then we'll go.
The audience be allowed.
All right. If the residents in the back, we're trying to hear. If you guys can please sit down. Other residents are trying to hear as well. Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Thank you, Mayor. So I agree with what every comment up here about the millage. And I know that since I've been up here, the millage rate has started 7.85, and correct me if I'm wrong. And then it went down to 7.65.
It was 7.8. Just
7.8.
7.8. Yeah.
But it's been going down.
Yes, and then last year was 7.65. This year it's 7.35.
Correct.
We are trending down.
We have been bringing it down, maybe not as much as everyone would like to see, but we have been trying to get to the point that we can balance everything off. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming out here. And thank you, Mayor.
City Attorney, if you can please report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 2023-48, a resolution of the City of Deltona, Volusia County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem tax for Volusia County for fiscal year 2023-2024 and writing for an effective date.
Okay, City Clerk, if we can please vote. The motion passes 7-0. This time, we're going to move to public hearing resolution number 2023-49. City of Deltona has adopted a final ad valorem millage rate of 7.35 mils for fiscal year 2023-2024. The final ad valorem millage rate reflects an 8.86% increase from the rollback rate of 6.7519 mils.
Are you doing the mills or the budget?
I'm on budget. I have to read this.
That don't want to be involved. We need to tax them. We don't see.
The proposed annual budget is summarized as follows. General fund, $85,311,006. Special revenue funds, $48,104,730. Enterprise fund, $60,959,686. Capital project funds, $15,934,963. Total citywide budget, $210,385,000. The floor is now open to hear public comments and to take any questions from the public.
Albert Bryan, please.
Wow. That was a little bit much. Okay. Once again, we're at a proposed budget that's been advertised as a proposed budget. We have a summary. We have some funds in it, but not all funds in it. I did a PRR last week. 7 days later, I still don't have the funds. 7 days. You know what a reasonable time is by the Florida state government for PRRs? 72 hours. That's a reasonable time. 7 days, and I still haven't gotten the fund balances. And it's funny. Why am I talking before y'all are talking about this? So y'all can react to what I say? Isn't that interesting? Because that's what we just saw it play out. We literally just saw that play out. All the citizens talked, and then y'all basically ridiculed what they were saying. That was amazing to watch. It really was. It's just mind-boggling to me how y'all do this. Now, let's think about this. We had one budget watch workshop this year, not 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 that we hear many times over a while now. Wow, it's amazing how the memory works, people. So, we take and look at this with one workshop. No line item discussion. None whatsoever. At all. Period. After what went on last year? Really? That's interesting. I find that really interesting. So, we look at this proposed budget. It's nothing more than a bunch of shenanigans numbers thrown out there. And as far as coming up to see any of you to actually read over this budget, why? I can't take last year's budget and put it to this year's line items. They don't match all, period. It's amazing to me how little we have talked about the budget this year. I don't blame you, you weren't there. The man that was here, y'all praised all this time. For a year, y'all praised, just threw out the gold coins, man. And where's my budget? Oh, that's right. He took it with him, didn't he? So we left with a summary of a budget, a little summary of what little funds that we have left. But when we do a PRR for our funds, we should get those. And yet, we're playing hide and seek this year. Why? Why are we hiding stuff? We should be transparent. We should be an open government. But no, that's not what any of this process has been about here at all, period. And it started with the man that used to be in that seat. And y'all have covered for him. None of y'all are innocent up here, none of y'all. We have asked over and over and over again for this information. Have we gotten any of the information we need? No, not at all. And you wonder they were just moaning and groaning about the last thing y'all were going after. It just amazes me, it really does. I'm floored.
Richard Bellick.
You can't argue what Elbert said. You hide everything from the people. Every time, everything is a secret. No numbers, no nothing. You go, oh, let's go back to 2018. This happened. Let's go to 2022. Come on, be truthful. What do you want to lie to them for? They don't do nothing to hurt you. What do you want to hide things from them? You lie right to their faces. You evade their questions. And like he said, you get the last word. You get the talk. It shouldn't be like that. It should be opposite. They should get talk. Then you make your decision. Not sit up there and this one agrees with that one and that one goes here and that one goes there. I mean, it's really unbelievable. You don't want to change nothing. I mean, you take more from the people. That's all you do. You don't do nothing for them. What do you do for them? Nothing. You hear what he said? Nothing. Insulting you? Come on. You're going to buy this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this. You don't even have a budget to work by. Come on. Why? That's incompetence, ain't it? Stupidity, incompetence. Either they were just evasive, or either you're robbing the cookie jar. Come on.
David Sosa.
Okay. I agree with Albert. This is the worst budget process ever. Not a reflection on Mary. It's not a reflection on, it is a reflection of Chisholm in the commission. You guys knew there was a budget. You failed to get Chisholm to provide it. Okay, that's where the buck stops with you guys. You guys spent more time talking about fences, food trucks, and chickens. And if you had more than X amount of eggs, you couldn't sell them. I mean, that's what you spent your time on. You didn't spend time on the budget. It's your failure. Now we're paying for it. Okay, Dana, Maritza, Anita, this isn't your first rodeo with the budget. Why didn't you guys come up and voice to the then city manager, where's the budget process? Anita, I agreed with you many years in a row. We need a line item budget. Failed. Right? Yeah. Nothing. No public workshops, no public participation. Now, what I do want to know, because looking through this list here of fund balances, that's printed, and I want to know where the $9.3 million disaster relief budget is. I know some was spent. How much was spent? What's the fund balance? It's not in here. Okay? Where's the $12 million economic disaster budget? That's not in our fund balances either that you guys provided. Where's the $22 million unencumbered funds? That was undesignated. That was as of last year's fiscal year. Where's the $22 million fund? I can't find that in here either. All this money, where is it? I don't know. Okay. A question, Mayor. You said going anything above full rollback was a tax increase, correct?
I said after the state attaches the adjustment for the income, the cost of living, there's going to be an increase.
Good. So it's not disingenuous saying that if you don't go
Mr. Sosa, do not use me as a prop, please. Please continue your speech, but do not use me as your prop.
If you have a commissioner saying that he is calling a resident a liar, saying that because I say it's 9% tax increase, he's saying it's not, but it is. Anything over full rollback is a tax increase. Now, one thing that was never said by anybody, what is the difference collected from last year and what is the difference collected from this year at your millage rate? Nobody ever said that. My figures are, Mary, is it about 5 million? Is that how much more additional revenue we're going to get?
Mr. Sosa, you're directing the commission, not staff.
Well, the
You're more
commission
than
should
welcome.
answer these questions. You don't. Okay, here. Let me tell you, Deltona, do you guys know it? You have the highest millage rate of any municipality in Volusia County.
Orange City has the highest millage rate.
Actually, sir, went back to full rollback, and they were still less than us.
Okay.
They're at 7.12. I don't know what their full rollback went to, but no, we are the highest taxed ones right here. Okay? Now, looking at this, you've got East plant, Western plants. To do those, you got 30 million, 40 million. That's 70 million. We're going to get 3 million from state to fix this. Where's another 70 million coming from? 60 million coming from? We're going to put the water department another 70 million in debt with bonds to cover this process? That's never discussed. And then you wonder why residents are.
Thank you, sir. Cheryl Brown, please. Cheryl Brown. Virgil Ford.
Virgil Ford, Deltona District 1. Like I was stating earlier, I looked at the budget. It's very hard to read. And y'all are talking about line items. Here's a couple things I found. And use the word pork. Y'all heard about pork in a budget. Here's just an example. It's read in their Parks and Rec budget. It's called Candy Prizes, Freaky Food, and Pies, etc. $4,500. Kind of no explanation for that. The fireworks, everybody likes them, $35,000. There's a list, pick up golf carts. It's huge. You may not think that's a lot of money, but when you start adding all these little things together, and I think if you'd have, some of you may have or may have not, looked piece by piece at what little things are in this budget, you might have been able to say, we can do away with this. Here's another example. City attorney, but $494,100. Office supplies for the city attorney, $1,000. How much paper do you need? I don't understand for $1,000 for the legal. Under Park and Rec's budget also, new scoreboard for Lee Boster, $75,000. New basketball cart, Dwight Hawkins, $75,000. Fire department, badge and pins. I'm not sure what that means. $6,000. I don't know. I mean, if you take these, take everything in that budget and scrutinize it, I think you might save a little bit of money. Thank you very much.
Elizabeth Chavez.
We don't have any festivals. We don't have any staple events but the fireworks. And as a community, we come together and we enjoy it. I enjoy them from my house. How much is the Christmas parade going to cost us? I remember a few years ago, it was already costing us $11,000, and you don't go around the whole city of Deltona. So I think I heard at one point in time that there was no public comment for budget, and that if anybody had a comment or question for budget, I don't know what part of the budget it was that that you had mentioned here, to call you or email you on that. I don't know. I don't understand if we can comment on a certain part of the budget. I don't know. I just want to understand that better. No workshops. I would like to have come to a workshop. Not very smart, you know what I'm saying? But I catch the things, sometimes. But 7 years that I've been here, 7 years that I've been here, there has been talk of continuous transparency. For 7 years, you guys have been talking about we want to be transparent. I emailed the mayor yourself about that PACE program, and I thank you for giving that out to the community, because there's a lot of vulnerable citizens that may go into a bigger bind for that. I am not in for that program. I just want to voice and say something to you personally, because I did not email that to all commissioners, by the way. But you did decide to send it to staff and Chisholm, and I never got a response anyway. So where is the transparency? I like it that as I talk about wanting to explain things better to us so we can understand. I'm going to be calling Mary because I do want her to teach me a little bit about my taxes if there's something that I'm not understanding. But budget questions, emailing and calling privately, I don't know. $5 million on a land that you were going to purchase that you decided not to, I think, or are you going to vote on that? Because then maybe it's everywhere. La cosa tan everywhere. And it's like catch, grabbing, go and understand here and understand there partially. So it's like more transparency, more workshops, so that where the public can ask more questions before a city meeting like this.
Catherine Coles.
Hi. Okay, no speaking, okay. You know why nobody came? Because they say you're gonna do what you wanna do anyway. That's why nobody came. This is my first time. I don't know whether I'm back or not. It's heartbreaking. That's why nobody came. No transparency, you do what you wanna do. What are we here for? Huh? Why are we here? Do you need us? No, I don't look that way, but thank you. I'm out.
Mayor, that closes public comments.
I just want to clarify one or two things. When it comes to the millage and the budget, and I believe this is a hearing script that we're giving as a city, I don't pick if the public speaks first or not. This is the way it's given to us. It's a state thing. That's that. We have Commissioner McCool. It's on the board. Commissioner McCool.
Thank you. And I just wanted to clarify after sitting, and it's also, when we talk about this as far as have everything together, we have two books. We have an annual budget book, and we also have another book, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. If you look at the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, you will see the amounts here are set for natural disasters, operating reserve, economic development, grant match reserves, capital outlay project, economic emergency reserve, and total assigned fund balance of $34,730,669. This is not kept in the budget book, and I inquired today why, because this money is set aside. It can't be used in the budget, so it's aside, but disclosed publicly. It's online. It is in the book, in the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. So I would encourage us, as we're doing it, that combining some of these numbers might be helpful to the public, but we have not spent $34 million not go missing. This is the end of 2022, and I'm sure that they are working on the 2023. So this book is available for the public also, and it is broken down. Natural disasters in this fund, $9,346,000. Operating reserve, $8,224,000. Economic development, $525,000. Grant match reserves, $378,000. Capital outlay for projects, $4,250,000. And economic emergency reserve, $12 million. So it's in this book right here, which I would be more than happy to share, or I'm sure finance will get one together for you, and it's also online. So it talks about the money. It's in this book as opposed to budget book, which I'm asking we disclose all of that. So thank you.
Commissioner Jody Lee.
Not done yet. Well, you're not done?
Good.
I'm done.
Okay. I guess this is where the political correctness part comes out. I'm to voice my opinion and have it on record. I mean, I'm not nothing against Miss Mary for doing a budget book, did the numbers, and it all add the way it's supposed to add up. But the rest of it, I ain't voting for it. I mean, y'all, I'm going to vote no on it. I'm going to tell you, because this budget, there's so much fluff and wasted money and stuff in there that we need to do. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm sorry to say it. I don't want to call nobody out, but there's money in the budget for different things. We're waiting for a stairwell to get painted that's had stickers on it for 6 months. We can't get stuff painted. I mean, we're going to just keep voting for more money. There's project, we got this PNS thing going on for paving, yet we're paying outside company to do striping on our streets. I mean, we got so much different fluff in there. We got stuff for furniture for City Hall that we don't need because the desks all work, but someone don't color them, so we have to buy new furniture. I mean, we got so much fluff. I'm getting stuff out there, sorry. People have to agree with me. But through it line by line, and you find a whole bunch of stuff in there. Not every department, just some. But there's some departments in there that if they ran a business like they run their budgets in the city, you'd be out of business. And you should be out of business. And there's some people that I think need some little bit more education and budgets or putting their budget, what they need for their department together. Because just because it's not my money, it's the government money. We can say there's plenty of it. Well, that's not the case. There's a bunch wasted, there's a bunch of fluff. And I'm sorry. Nobody else is going to say it, as I will. That's my 2 cents.
Vice Mayor Bradford.
Any items in the budget a lot of these items will be coming back to us. And at that point, we can say no. Just we talked at the last meeting, if we talk about they had something and they brought by, if we don't want to do it, we don't do it. Because at this point, I wanted to make sure we don't have to transfer too many more dollars out of the general fund than we have to, because that does kill our cushion. That kills the thing. And if there is another downturn disaster, we're in trouble. We'll be in a lot of trouble. So you think projects aren't getting done now, it's going to be a lot worse. So when items come before us for approval, we need to look at those and say, is this a necessity this year, or how much do we need to put to keep that $4 million in that general fund? Because we're already taking $4 million out of what we're approving right now, cover shortfall of three funds, basically the trash impact, the tipping fees that we're having to cover. So those items, we can vote on that. You know, I don't want to take away activities doing for the residents. You know, it does seem minute to a few people, but I sat up here when we didn't do a simple thing as an Easter event during COVID, and do you know how hard that was for a lot of families? Because they do look forward to the few events a year we have. There are certain things that do bring us together as a community that I struggle with. We went without a parade a year or two. Oh my gosh, I had more responses, more comments, and screamed at because our community looks forward to these things. I don't want to take away activities that our community looks forward to. If we can come to, hey, we don't want to spend $150,000 to new office, we get to make that choice when it comes up. Okay? But these are things that should have been voiced way before, right now. To tell you the truth. You don't wait till the last minute and use the podium as the time. I move to adopt resolution number 2023-49. The interim city manager has the authority to make correction of Scrivener errors and the like.
Second.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor Bradford and a second by Commissioner Villa-Vasquez. City Attorney, can you please read the ordinance?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 2023-49, a resolution of the City of Deltone, Volusia County, Florida, adopting the final annual budget of general fund, special revenue funds, enterprise fund, and capital project funds for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, providing for an effective date.
City, can we please vote? The motion passes 6-1. This time we're going to move forward to request for approval of ordinance number 1023, amending section 110-806, fences, walls, and hedges of Article 8, supplementary regulations of Chapter 110 zoning of the Land Development Codes, ordinance number 10-2023, at first reading, Planning and Development Services. Who is going to speak on behalf of?
Phyllis is going to.
Ms. Wallace?
Good evening. Phyllis Wallace, Public Works.
Hold on. Let's.
Done. Better?
Go ahead.
This is coming back for a second approval of the fences, wall, and hedges. And I apologize because we've had a chance changes. But I do know that this was brought before you. There were a lot of conflicts and confusion with the current ordinance as it related to walls, the heights of fences in various locations. So the change did provide for those changes that were proposed, and it does allow for a lot more latitude with our residents, one of which is if they are replacing in kind the same height of fence, it does not require a permit. They can put 6'5" fence up, the 6'5" fence I think helps out a lot with some of the storms that we've had, but it also allows residents to have a little more flexibility with the heights. You can have up to a maximum of 8 feet in the rear. Along the sides, it goes up to a maximum of 6, and alongside frontage, 5 feet. I think that gives people more latitude with privacy on their property, the ability to keep their pets and their children safe on their property. And if you have any questions.
Commissioner Riley.
On this ordinance right here, if someone wants to have a fence of like a stockade if they live on a lake, this ordinance, the way it's written right now, will allow them to put us.
Yes, it does.
Okay, I was just reading it, and I was just looking at that. I was sure about, I understand the side. My own issue is about back part, but that's my question. I know I read it, and I thought that's exactly what it said, and I'm just making sure. I don't care about the side.
Vice Mayor Bradford.
Okay, so going through the lines a little confusing. It says a fence permit is required prior to building or installing any fence or wall within. Are we still requiring the survey?
Survey will still be required, but this would be for a new installation, so somebody doesn't
right.
already
So
have
that's what I
Yes,
want
ma'am.
to be sure we're not limiting. I mean, obviously, a fence is different, but a brand new fence, we're still requiring a survey. Do we have a year requirement on the survey?
I do not believe they addressed this year, but I do know in the build department, I believe they're looking at anything that is more than 3 to 5 years, and that they want something.
We shouldn't have that here to be more.
It's not restricted in here, so we'd have to go back and.
The reason I say that is because the different departments are the ones that get beat up. So when someone goes in there and they're like, what do you mean my survey is too old? Where's that written? And that's what's going to be asked. I hear it all the time. When I come in for permitting, I think the number one thing I hear 100 times when I'm sitting there waiting is fence permit, fence permit, fence permit. And that is one of the biggest. It is a huge expense for homeowners to redo those surveys. So I just didn't know if we needed to have in here so they know over there and everybody's consistent. So that way, this person's not saying 3 to 4 years, and this person's saying 7 years is okay. I think county allows 7 years, so I'm trying to remember the last one that did. I, would like to see a little consistency of what we're doing with maybe even the county, because some people are pulling at city and some people are pulling at county. That way, that department knows exactly what's going on, and they're not getting beat up that theirs is different than this, or this person said this because maybe they confused it. So I would like that to be spelled out, like how old does the survey have to be?
And I think we can do that. Separate from this, we can work with the building department. We can check with Volusia County, get their recommendations, and make sure that we are mirroring those with the permits that come in for the city. As you know, the survey is really just to demonstrate the permanent improvements on the property, and I do know the building department does allow residents to take an old survey. If they want to put a fence up, they can draw the fence in. They don't necessarily have to go get a survey that is current. They can draw those in.
Okay. Thank you guys for taking this. I have nothing else. Do we have somebody make a motion?
Commissioner Brink.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Bradford, on the bottom of a permit application, it has a list of requirements, and the survey is on there, and the last time I think it was good for 2 years. It's actually on the application itself.
It may be on the application, but I can tell you I've sat in there and I've heard people be told 3 years, 4 years, 7 years. So it needs to be consistent.
Clarified.
Yeah, this is first reading, right?
That's what I get for coming in at the last minute. First reading.
First reading, okay, because I was a little confused. I thought maybe you did it when on vacation.
No, it's first reading.
Apologize, I briefed on the staff leaving.
So we can add that in here.
For the second reading.
For the second reading to maybe have it consistent with the county.
Absolutely.
And say that we need to be a little consistent with the county because we have a lot of county. We have a lot of homes and permits in the county versus, so I just would like to see some consistency there if possible.
And I think that consistency will alleviate a lot of problems down the road.
Right.
To the extent
I think
that we
so,
can mirror.
Yeah, so I just see a little consistency there. That's all I had. You need a motion.
You need a motion.
I move to adopt ordinance number 10-203, amending section 110-806, fences, walls, and hedges of Article 8, supplementary regulations of Chapter 110, zoning of the Land Development Code at first reading. The interim manager has the authority to make corrections of scrivener errors and the like.
Second.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor Bradford and a second by Commissioner McCool.
Do you want me to read the ordinance?
Hold on, we're going to go to the comments before vote.
And that's with the change, right?
Yes.
Right, with the changes. Right.
Richard Bellick? Okay. Elizabeth Chavez?
Elizabeth Chavez Deltone. So if someone right now is going through this situation with the fence and permitting, so I have that issue now currently, and so we went and we paid the permit, and then we serving. So are you guys going to be during this little process of doing the second meeting in October? Just wondering, just wanting to find out, will you be like reimbursing someone like me that is in this position now? Are you at all? I don't know.
Mayor, that closes public comments.
Okay, can we please vote? And before we vote, City Attorney, can you please read the ordinance?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, ordinance number 10-2023, an ordinance of the City of Deltona, Florida, amending section 110-806, fences, walls, and hedges of Article 5, 6, 7, 8, supplementary regulations, Chapter 110, zoning of land development code of the City of Deltona, providing for conflicts, codification, severability, and effective date. And if I could just answer the one question, if the individual is in the pursuit of permit and is being done prior to you having your second reading, or this one taking an effect, then it'll be under the old rules.
Thank you. Can we please vote? Motion passes 6-1. There's no old business. There is no business. We're moving on to comments on consent items. Citizen comments are limited to the issues, concerns on the consent agenda items. Please complete a public comments, please.
Elbert Bryan, please.
Wow. Okay. I see we got a 8-page agenda, more or less, budget, more or less, consent agenda. It amazes me that we have the sheriff's contract in there. We have $12.8 million. We have the refuse in there. There's all sorts of things in there. I mean, it's like, wow. First time I've ever seen 8 pages of POs on a consent agenda. It's just beyond my ken how none of this gets questioned. Absolutely none of it. And yet, you know, they talked about the fact that we should take and call us out more. Well, when you only have one meeting to call anything out, you get much of it to actually call out. So I'm not sure, you know, how that actually works, how we're supposed to call something out when it just pops up in the consent agenda like that. Now, what's amazing to me is there's 8 pages there. There's almost a third of the money of the budget in these POs. Why is that like that? Why are we not actually seeing it in the budget the way it should be? Why is none of this actually talked about in the budget or in a regular agenda item? Something like this should never, ever be in the consent agenda. I've said this before when I'm sitting here, and it's amazing to me that from manager, nothing against you because you're breaking in, but from manager to manager, we see how they try to hide things in the consent agenda. And this literally is beyond imagination that y'all has kind of money, 8 pages worth stashed inside the consent agenda. Like you're just going to take and throw the white flag, say, I give up, vote yes. I understand it. Y'all are that far gone that you just don't give a shit anymore. Y'all have a nice evening.
Mayor, that closes public comments.
Thank you. We're going to move to Section 10, Consent Agenda. The consent agenda contains items that have been determined to be routine and non-controversial. Discussion is desired by any member of the City Commission. That item must be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. All other matters included under the consent agenda will be approved by one motion. Since the concern should address those concerns by filling out public, which we just did. I do have some concerns with Section A and Section E that I want pulled. So if there's a motion to approve B, C, D, and F, that's what we look for, unless somebody else wants to put any other item from the consent agenda.
A and which one?
I want to pull A as an alpha and E as an Edward.
I move to make a motion to approve consent agenda minus items A and E.
Second.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor Bradford and a second by Commissioner Burbank. Please vote.
No, we're not approving A and E. Yet.
The motion to approve B, C, D, and F passes 7-0. Then at this time, I want to bring up Section A, which is request for approval of the Volusia Economic Development Corporation Cooperative Agreement for 2023-2024. And since I wanted these pulled, I guess I can start. Mr. William, I understand that you weren't the chair at the time. The former city manager, before this item even came up, and nothing negative to be reflected on Team Volusia, but I did ask that we look into another organization that something very similar. They're called the American Way. And I requested at that time for them to come and do a presentation to the city of Deltona, and for them to show us how they can be a little bit more competitive, when you put them up against Volusia. So I guess my request is that we hold off on this approval until we get, if I have the consensus from the dais, until we get some type of presentation from them. They are not as expensive, right? And I think that would be a good way to help bring down some of the budget items. Commissioner Jody Lee.
I want to make a motion to approve A.
There's a motion to approve A, and there's a second by Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
However, I would not be opposed to having a presentation prior to when it needs to be voted on, because every year we wait until the last minute where we have to have an approval before we get information. And right now, we don't even have, do we have an economic development manager?
Do not.
We do not at this point. We are.
So that makes it even more difficult. And I think the mayor's bringing forward is a great idea, and I'd like to see it looked into. I don't know how long, our process is going to take for city manager and how long it's going to take to maybe reach out. And it's always worth having a presentation, before we get to that next budget and we can see what can they do and get more information. So, I would up to seeing what they have to say.
Thank you, Vice Commissioner Cole.
Yeah, I just want to get his vote.
We didn't have a motion, did we?
We did. We have a motion by Commissioner Jody Lee and a second by Commissioner Avila Vasquez. We're going to vote. Motion passes 6-1. All right, we're going to go to Section E. Renewal request for Brown & Brown coverage premiums. And this is another one that I asked to be pulled because is this not something that we can try to find something that's a little more full. That was my question. I mean, again, we're pulling these because this is what we're doing. We're supposed to be asking these questions. So,
Again, we're waiting at the levy.
yeah.
Okay, the HR Director, Rebecca, is here, along with the Insurance Company Brown, to discuss some of the increases.
Good evening.
Good evening, Rebecca.
Commissioner Rebecca Wilk, Human Resources, and I'm here tonight with a member from Brown & Brown and Centria, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Vice Mayor Bradford?
Biggest question I had, did this go out to bid?
So there's a few different things that are on here, so I'm not sure exactly which one.
So the whole insurance, did we send this out to bid to anybody, or we just said, okay, you win, we renewed it?
With regard to Brown, no, it did not go out to bid this year.
So we're having a $504,000 increase, and we didn't think that we should probably take it out to bid. Actually, yes, I see Albert, sorry. That's just a $2 million, my bad. And I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't say, hey, listen, what's going on here? Can anybody else offer these services? Can we get a better rate? Let's put this out to bid. And we always wait until the last minute when it's like, hey, we have to renew now, or what else? This needs to go to bid when this happens. When we get an increase, I don't care, a little bit of an increase. We need to be sending these out to bid. There's more insurance companies than Brown & Brown. Mm-hmm. Nothing against you guys, but we have to look at the budget fiscally, and this is like crazy. If this was our home, we would be sending it out to every agent to get a bid. And, you know, I think I said this the year before, and the year before I said, this cannot wait until it comes before us. And if I say, when does it have to be approved? I'm sure you're going to say, well, we have to approve it tonight or our insurance goes lapse.
Well, that is the case, yeah, and this is the time.
And it happens every single year. And I'm not yelling at you. It's just a frustration that $2,049,451. That is one heck of an increase. And, you know, I get it. What we just went through was a 500-year storm, okay? But you're looking at, just name windstorm, 35, I mean, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry. This is just ludicrous. This needs to be reviewed. This needs to go out to bid, and I'm assuming this is a 12-month renewal.
Right, but there's no reason why we can't look at doing that. So, I mean, if it's the will of the commission, then I'll certainly look into
If I can just interrupt you, Vice Mayor, really quick. Your point, this is what's frustrating, and I'm going to blame myself. I'm not blaming anyone else. I asked Mr. Chisholm 4 times, not only about the issue with Brown & Brown, but also about Volusia. 4 times, and every time, because I can't put something on the agenda, he said he would see when he can put that up, or when it can be brought up during the budget process. Just go ahead and just hit the whole team Volusia, you know, whatever. We complain about other stuff, but that's fine. And I'm glad you're bringing up those increases again, because it seems like we waited till the last minute, but I know I'm asking 4 times. It's frustrating. So I'm going to start doing from now on, which I hate because it ends up being a show, is on the dais requesting stuff. So.
Amen. Thank you. Please do that. That is what we're supposed to do, is bring it up on the dais, ask, and you can say, see, that's why I asked. So where are we at with renewal, and can we get bids on this?
Well, at this point in time, we would need to renew, and this is pretty standard. So if you look back historically, this is the way in the time frame, unfortunately, and it has to do with the claims and how claims come in. And I can, I can obviously have Kyle explain to you about how that process works. So if it's something that you're really wanting an RFP for, then we would really need to look at doing the renewal, and then I'd move forward with putting RFP out, and then you can look at changing that going into the next year. But that opportunity to do that has Kyle kind of already passed. And there may have been, conversations with Mr. Chisholm, but he never mentioned anything to me about that being the will or the desire of the commission to look into an RP process, because, could have done that.
It's not your fault, Rebecca.
It's not, and not mad at you,
yeah.
right? And I'm sorry.
We're supposed to talk to the city manager.
What's frustrating is when a department has an increase this substantial, and it's not brought up before now, and we say, oh, this needs to go out to bid. Like this bill didn't just pop up.
Well, the renewal did just come about.
Like how long ago did this bill come up?
I think we've had the renewal now for 2 weeks. We just had renewal, so.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
2 weeks we've had the renewal.
2 weeks we've had the renewal?
Yep.
Okay. I want to make sure we have something as far as our policies go, that when we have an increase like this, it's automatically, it's on that agenda and it's brought to it. What do you want to do? Do we want to send this out bid? Do we want to just approve this? Do I want to jeopardize the city's, like, oh yeah, let's just take this away? Do we need wind? Do we need wind, guys? No, that's what we can't do. We can't, I'm not going to jeopardize our services and our coverage. So you guys are the agents, right?
Correct.
It's your job to find us the absolute best price. Have you done that?
So this year, unfortunately, the city of Deltona is not immune to the market, and we have gone back and we've negotiated this, and we've gotten it down from what it was initially. We've pushed back on rate, and unfortunately, it's the market that's killing us right now. Hurricane Ian was a $55 billion hit to the insurance market, and that's trickled. The city is not immune to losses either. There's been quite a few losses, so and the exposures have increased. Payroll up. And we've got an increase in some of the prop equipment, so that affects the bottom line of insurance. So we're, cost of doing business, cost of construction, these all factor into what our bottom line premiums are. So as we grow, it's just a factor of that, unfortunately.
So what suggestion do you have? I mean, yes, there was, so you mentioned some, I'm guessing the thefts we had and those. So do you have recommendations for us to bring it down? Do you have things that we can do to, because if you're going to say, hey, put the security cameras up at wherever we had the thefts,
sure,
and maybe we can do a report that says, okay, you're protected, we're going to bring it down. Because I know, like my homeowners, they'll say, hey, you have a security system, we'll bring you down 10%. So what suggestions do you have to us that's going to reduce this $2 million?
So one thing that we've actually done this year is we've had to implement some deductibles, and that is coming from the carrier, and that is to decrease the premiums. So taking more skin in the game from the city side, and that's going to be on defense settlements. But the other thing is loss control, implementing more loss control. There's a push in the risk management department to some changes. So we have more claim reviews and be aware of where certain things are and what we need to do to fix those things, and to work with the workforce and employees and to fix up some of these liability issues.
So you just mentioned it. To bring it down, you just said we jacked up our deductibles too.
There are some deductibles, yeah.
So not only am I paying $2 million more, I've got a much higher deductible.
On the liability lines and on the property line, yes. That's our
and you've
insurance
had
market today.
how much, if you had more time, do you think you could improve this at all?
This year, no, honestly, not this year. Next year, we're hoping for better terms. But, this year, it's a struggle. And we just had a retort reform at the state. So attorney's fees are now capped. And what that did, it was House Bill 837. So that took the statute of limitations from 4 years to 2 years, and it put a cap on attorney fees. So now what that did is there was an influx of claims filed for policy limits within the state. There were about 25,000 claims filed before July 1st. So that's going to trickle down through the insurance market, and carriers are aware of this, and they're going to have to defend these claims. So this year, in terms of negotiating anything further at this point, it's falling on deaf ears, unfortunately.
And you're falling on my deaf. I hate to say it,
apologize.
because as
No,
an
I get
agent, I hold you to help us bring that rate down.
Sure.
So
Totally get it.
I charge you with that. That's what I hire you for, not just to say, hey, I'm going to raise your deductible, we're going to reduce your limitations, or we're going to do that to bring your rates down.
Yeah.
We can't afford to do that. We have residents out there counting on us to make sure that we're maintaining it. And, I get, like, we just heard them say their rates are going up.
Right.
So if you guys can't do it, put an RFP, I don't know what to say. They're not the only agent out there.
Commissioner, are you done, Vice Mayor? Commissioner Jody Lee, then Commissioner Vila Vasquez, and then Commissioner McCool.
I agree with Vice Mayor 200%. That's a big jump from, we're just talking about kicking the can down the road, and then, I hate to say it, you just said, well, maybe next year to be better. That's pretty damn fine, because there ain't no way it's going to be less next year. It's going to go up another $1 million next year. For anybody to even say that is crazy. It's not going to go down next year. I know gas prices are going to go next week back to $2 too. That's not happening either. We just keep kicking. I agree with the mayor. That Vice Mayor they should have been told to us before the last minute. And we have asked questions up here, and like Mayor, you were just saying, we've asked questions. We've asked Mr. Chisholm questions about different things, and that's the problem. Like Vice Mayor said, there's things that should have brought up or asked before. Now is not the time. It's kind of late. There has been questions asked. The problem historically, we don't get the damn answers. We can ask stuff. This is something that we all, people in the city, because we can't direct staff, just things that should have came to us a long time ago. Not at the last minute, hey, do this or everybody's in trouble. This is a couple, it's not chump change. We're talking millions.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez, and then Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Mayor. So the difference between last year's premiums and this year is that 504,000?
Correct.
2 million.
2 million?
No,
No, it's not.
No,
That's the total.
That's the total. The
With
difference.
addition
The total.
that you're adding this year, which is 504,175.
Right. An overall 30% increase over last year is what it comes out to.
So it's not 2 million, right?
2 million is
total with the addition,
2,049,451 is the total all-in premium. It's up from $1,545,000 last year. And the big driver of that is the property. That was a 60% increase on the property rate.
Right. And this includes all staff.
So this
Fire
is
department.
right. So this is your property, your liability, your workers' compensation. Correct.
Okay. So my question is, how long do you have if you're going with recommendation of the mayor and the vice mayor to get another quote? Would we lose? Would staff lose some kind of insurance in the middle of it, or?
Go ahead.
At this point in time, I've never seen that asked when we're up against the renewal. I get numbers in. I basically had to put it on the agenda, which took a little time.
I can hear you. Can you?
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
So anyways, at this point, I've never heard that asked before. Do you guys do extensions or anything like that?
If I may, Mr. Mayor, can I make a comment? Unfortunately, at this point, we're at if I'm correct here, we're at the point where it has to be renewed or we lose coverage. I'm going to say October 1st.
That's my concern right now.
That we would lose coverage on all the facilities in the city, and that includes water plants, if I'm correct, that includes all the city hall, all the other facilities that we have in the city. And it was around 1.5 million last year or this past year, and it's going up $500,000, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot. It's 33% increase. The thing that we jeopardize, though, is not having coverage on the facilities. We wouldn't have anything if we don't renew. I will make a commitment that I will work with the new city manager that y'all bring in, not me, but that y'all bring in, and I will make sure that these types of things are relayed to him or her, the new city manager, and make sure that this doesn't happen next year.
Right. So again, so you're saying up to October 1st, right? October 1st is when new premium starts. Okay. All right, thank you.
Commissioner McCool, and
Thank
then I'll
you.
go at the end.
Thank you very much. When are the rates published? When are these rates published? When are we told in the cycle that the rates are going to go up?
So what was the deadline that we had this year that you needed?
When do the insurance carriers publish their rates that we choose from? When was this selected?
So it was late August before we got this.
Late August.
Yep.
So that was 2 months to less than 2 months, 5 weeks by the insurance company to select these rates. So that pretty much caps you from going to RFP. So there's no time during this cycle that there is a threshold triggered for a rate increase. Like, do they not have to fully state publish that the rates are going up beyond this threshold? Is there nothing legislative? Is there nothing industry-wide that says that triggers a response for us to start looking for a new carrier?
So we're part of a trust. It's the Preferred Governmental Insurance Trust. It's just made up of municipalities in Florida. They don't file rates as would a normal insurance carrier would. They're actually a public entity themselves. There's 2 big trusts in Florida, and they handle the majority of public entities, so municipalities like City.
Who regulates them?
Well, so there's a board of directors of elected officials that regulate it.
Okay, go ahead.
Question?
Here's what I'm saying. This is for informative purposes.
Sure.
When we talk about in our community, the things that the are in charge of, let me bring us back to center focus. This is one of the things that your governor is in charge of. This right here, this kind of thing, the legislatively speaking, that has to be changed. So I'm talking about, for us as a local municipality, having hands tied on these rates. It's published 5 weeks before we're due. I'm not picking on the governor. I'm saying it's a legislative thing. And we're capped at the legislative level as to what we can do here, because you heard these are regulated by a body of elected officials, which I'm going to assume are friends of insurance lobbyists. So I'm having a hard time with this, that we only get 5 weeks. We don't have time to go out for RFP, and this is ridiculous. And I'm trying to figure out who I go to take my complaint to. Who do I go to take my complaint to as a city that this is ridiculous? We don't know who we don't know. Do we go to Tallahassee?
Yeah.
I mean, insurance lobbyists, there you go, another thing. You have small municipalities fighting insurance lobbyists. So Civics 101, get involved. Deltona is not breaking us. This kind of stuff is breaking us. So we have no indication through the year that this threshold is going to be broken. There's no regulation that says we must be notified when we pass the threshold of how much it's going to be.
There's not regulation for that, but we did provide a budget estimate back in June.
Okay.
And we fell within that budget estimate, actually a little bit below it. So at the time, it had gone before then.
So we've had this information, or he's had the information since June that this was going to?
An estimate.
It was
an estimate that was added to the budget.
It was an early indication. Some numbers were in there back in June.
These numbers?
It was more than that. We actually came in under budget.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Rebecca, thank you very much.
All right. So I have Mr. Whitcomb, do you remember Waste Pro? How much were they going to increase? And I'm getting to something. How much were they going to increase? How much was the increase? Was it anywhere near $500,000?
Yes, I believe it was Waste Pro itself. I believe it was 3% roughly. And then, of course, this is insurance, but Waste Pro.
I know it's different.
But Waste Pro also, because they do the consumer price index, and I believe, if I'm correct, was it 3%?
I think it was 8. I don't like to say it, but I believe it was 5.
Okay, so let's say 8%. And then also on top of that was the tipping fees that were going to Volusia County.
The reason I'm asking, right, is because we as a dais kind of went at them really hard over invitation to galas and stuff like that. I got an invitation to a Brown Gala that ended up being postponed. That's the issue that I'm having, is these luxurious dinners for the elected officials for cheese and wine while my residents have to eat bread and water, all right? That is the issue I have. The issue I have is companies come in here, and I don't care who gets mad at me, donates thousands of dollars to different political opponents, right? And it almost guarantees them This is the issue that I have. So here's the only way I'm going to vote for this, and I'll probably be whatever, is if somebody makes a motion to approve it with the expectation that an RFP will go out before the next renewal date. That's the only way I'll vote for that. Vice Mayor, you're on the board.
That's my thing. And I hate saying I, but I own a company, okay? I know every year, June 29th to June 29th, that's my term of insurance. So if I had an estimate or an anticipation that my insurance would go up, I'm going to go out for bid. That's what I'm going to do. June, not 2 weeks ago, did have been like, Commission, what do you want me to do? What, and nothing on you, Glenn. What do you do? I'm asking, police departments, come to us and say, we're going to have increase. What do you want me to do? I want you to send it out to bid. I don't want to assume that because they've got the prettiest name or the most popular name that we're going to give them the contract anymore. We have got to stop giving people the contract because did it. We've got to start saying this is what we have to do. And you may have went to Mr. Chisholm, I don't know, but we've got to start doing this. That's why I said we need to put in a policy that basically states if a department receives a notification of an increase, it needs to come to us before the deadline it has to be done. And it's never been done. It's been unprecedented, but we have to take control of this because I've sat here for 6 years and for 6 years it keeps, how much time do we have? Well, if you don't vote on it today, it's a attack. It's always waited to the last minute, you know? So at this point, we don't have a choice, but let me ask this. If we send it to bid, we find another company, what's the cost to get it, to switch it over if we get a less expensive? Because I know with mine, I can say, hey, my liability insurance came in high, so Berkeley, goodbye, I'm switching to company. Expect for $2 million, I switch in 2 seconds.
Yep. So there's no runoff cost. So if you want to leave this program next year, it's clean and free. And we actually, you've been with this carrier from a bid process a while ago, and the area that you left, there was a runoff, and there was a constant go back to the pot for more money because there were off claims. So this is a clean sweep. If you put an RFP out, you're going to get a bid from the Florida League of Cities, which is the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust. That's a direct-to-insure product. So you go to them directly, they provide a quote, and then you get from us again with the Preferred Governmental Insurance Trust. Those are the two big options. So it's going to be FMIT versus Pidgeot, and who can put up the better terms. And if FT is better, then you go that way, and it's clean and free. So.
Well, and so the difference is we at least showed our residents.
Sure, absolutely.
We did what we could to try to get the best rates. Not that I am like, oh, great.
Yeah.
We like you because you're brown. Nothing against it.
Nope.
If it was Tom Brown, I'd say whatever. But you see what I'm saying? At least we could say, hey, Rebecca sent it out to bid. She got this, this, and this. These were the best rates that came before you.
Yep.
And this is why we went this way.
Understood.
But we've been just like, okay, let's just go with it. You know, so I'm sure you've done a great job, but you heard us just get our butts kicked.
I did.
Right? Okay? We don't want that. So we're trying to make it so in all transparency, if this is going to happen, then we need to do it. Because it's not just that insurance. We've got 2 others that are looped in here. Aside from you, we have Central Care and Essential Renewal Survey. I believe they all went up. Right? So it's not just when we have an increase and we anticipate increase, we need to be doing just that. Send it out to, so I don't know, what do we have that's going to guarantee, city attorney, what do we do to make sure that this does not continue to happen?
I think we need to put it in the budget policy.
Okay.
So I've been talked to the city manager. I think that a lot of these issues you all have talking about need to be in the budget policy, you know, so that that something is triggered and whoever is in charge of that department needs to, you know, do what they need to do to proceed and comply with the budget policy. And so then there is accountability.
Thank you. I'm beating a dead horse right now, so.
Commissioner McCool.
Not better to you guys.
Yeah, I want to find out and ask, do we have less coverage for more money this year? Did we take what coverage, I want to understand, did we take out this year, but yet we're paying, what did we take out?
We didn't lose anything. It's just the increase in the deductible. So
okay,
limits remain the same. Yeah, we actually have a little bit more coverage because the exposures went up, so there's more limit there. Yep. And the main driver of this is it's the property rate. It's went up 59%. That's been staying through the state. We've seen it over 100%. We've seen it in, from about 50 to 100% in rate increases. So.
Let me ask you this, Rebecca. Are all of these coverages regulatory? I'm asking, like, is there stuff in here that is, that we have, I know that we have to have this, but what I'm saying is there any cherry picking done in this coverage policy, or is there historical priors that we have here, is what I'm trying to ask.
I would say with this type of coverage, no, there really isn't. When you're talking about health insurance or employee benefits and things like that, where you have the option to change certain things, maybe institute a deductible or to change the maximum out of pocket or something like that, it's a little bit easier to do it with that, but not so much with this. No. And a lot of it is driven by our claims.
What about because I'm asking like our watercraft and our unscheduled inland marine? Are we boating? I'm sorry, I'm not a smart A, but I'm asking, are we boating?
It's for the fire department.
Do we have lake tools? Is that what it is? Are we boating?
I don't know of any boating stuff. There might be a jet ski for the fire department, but I don't know.
But what I'm saying is we have watercraft and blanket inland marine. Sorry, I'm just asking.
Yeah, there's a lot of watercraft on there, I see it.
Are you messing with me right now?
No,
okay.
I don't.
Well, I know it's on here, but I'm just saying, as a city, do we use a lot of watercraft for our service? Don't we? I understand that, but do we own, what I'm saying is, when we use these services, do we contract them out, or do we have our own boats that we go and do maintenance with?
It covers Commissioner News. Sorry, just making a joke. Just kidding.
I got priors, I know.
I would like
Stone Island.
I don't know of any watercraft other than the possibility of the fireman or of a jet ski possibly. I can't verify that with you right now. I'm not sure, but I will let you know.
Listen, I'm not an expert here, but what I am doing is asking questions here that affect our policy and what we have. So I just want to visit that. That's what I'm asking. I know that we have the blanket coverage for buildings and content, but I'm just asking on some of these stuff. Valuable papers, and like I said, watercraft, I get it. So I'm just going down the list. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Jody Lee.
I agree with the mayor and vice mayor on this. Can't we just do this and prorate it for so long, have an automatic year, and put an RFP out and see if we can get a better rate?
If we could find another if you guys want to do an RFP, I can certainly look into that.
Well, I don't want to lose coverage if we can prorate it and pay a little bit.
Right, we would definitely need
if we can't get it cheaper, then fine, we'll stick with them. Then we got to do what we got to do. At least try. That's a big jump for a year.
Is this contract due?
10-1.
10-1, which is the corner.
So we could just prorate it and do it for a couple months and do an RFP and get it cheaper, and then if not, we can drop somebody.
Can we do that? No, you have to go for the
liability insurance. They don't usually do
you
that.
just said we.
But
No,
they
you have
can.
to
She can
renew.
start searching for next year. She can put an RFP out.
I get next
for
year. I get
year.
that, but I was saying, can we prorate it and have it go to automatically has to be a year?
No, not for the insurance.
Oh, they're the insurance people. They should be able to answer the question.
No.
You can prorate it and have it for a couple months to see if we can find something else?
Can't do a partial policy at this point.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. Okay.
So there's no one else on the board.
Then I guess I go on with the vice mayor and next year bring it to us prior. And like the mayor said.
Well, if they get it in June, we should have it in.
Well, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So it's kind of late now.
It is late, but we can do one of two things. We can do a motion. I can entertain a motion for it to get approved as is. Someone can make a motion to approve it with the condition of an RFP going out.
Mr. Mayor, I think we also, if you include in your motion that it would become a budget policy,
I don't think we need that, because once the contract expires, they're going to bring it to us for renewal.
I get that, but this way we guarantee the RFP is going to be done.
That way it comes to us before it's too late.
Yes, I don't want us to be in this situation again next year, so.
I agree.
Commissioner McCool, you're on the board for a motion.
No, okay, yeah.
You told me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. I move to approve the renewal request from Brown & Brown, Acenturia Insurance, and Advent Health with the condition an RFP is sent out.
Can I just make one?
And we have budget policy.
Can I make one mention? I did go for RFP last year with all of the United Healthcare, all of our medical, our dental, our vision programs. It's not usually advised to go out to RFP every year for those types of things, because I mean, it could literally mean that we're changing our insurance carriers for people's medical insurances, which means that there's a possibility that, the network could change. They could have a surgery or something scheduled. So last year, the other two items that are on here, I did go out to RFP. So I didn't do all three, because that would be enormous. Last year, and it wasn't recommended by the city manager. So I usually do go by the direction of the city manager. But we can certainly do the RFP for this one this year. But doing the other two. Would
there be an agreeable or a consensus regarding a threshold after the fact? If a premium rises within a certain percentage threshold, that it would automatically go out for RFP and make that a budget policy? Because
we can talk about that, and Mr. City Manager would come. We need to have a workshop on this, on creating some type of a policy. Right now, I want to make sure we go, and if we're going to approve this, if you need to amend your motion, we can amend it. But whatever amendment you get, we need to make sure that an RFP is going to get done next year. Maybe not on all three, but definitely on the one that's before us.
Okay, then will we do a consensus regarding a work without the caveat, with the understanding that we're going to have a workshop, or do you want the caveat on this?
That is my personal preference to have the caveat, but I'm
okay. Okay, may I amend my motion?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I move to approve the renewal request for Brown & Brown, Acenturia Insurance, and Advent Health with the caveat that the Brown & Brown goes out for RFP. No? Here, go ahead, Madam Vice Mayor.
Can I say something? I'm
Sure.
just, this is where I'm having a problem, okay? I understand what Ms. Walt's saying, but every year, a business gets contacted and says, hey, it's up for your insurance renewal. Do you want to stay on the plan? Do you want to look at this plan? Do you want to switch carriers? Do you want to do that? I don't want to say, no, it's not our responsibility, because it is our responsibility. Because it could be 1 year United Healthcare, and then the next year it could go to Blue Cross Blue Shield is much lower. I mean, and I know it's a hassle. I know it's a hassle for you guys to switch insurance companies and convert everybody over, and I'm sorry. But if we're talking thousands of dollars, I know, like, I'm getting hey, open enrollment's coming up. You need to go look at all the different policies. Do you want to stay with the group you have? That comes up every single year. I'm not told, oh, don't switch it because you might have people, that's having a procedure done.
It's the coverage that you're changing, but the actual, like United Healthcare versus Cigna.
I'll change it in a heartbeat if it's thousands of dollars. I'll change it in a heartbeat.
Right, but employees don't have that choice to change it unless we do a whole RFP to change the company altogether. And I'm just trying to advise you guys that, they're going to bid off of the same claims data. So they're not going to bid without taking a look at our claims data. And if our claims are the issue, which is oftentimes what the case is, then you're not necessarily going to get that result. I mean, if that's what you want to do each and every year, I'll do whatever it is that you guys want to do. But I'm just trying to kind of tell you, over the years, all of the brokers that we've had really haven't advised making that kind of change. It makes it look risky. It also appears to the company that, you're not planning on staying with them long term. I'm not talking about the Brown stuff.
Right.
I'm talking about, our United Healthcare, our Cigna, our health, our medical, our dental, our vision. So we may not get that. I mean, we could potentially get bids that come back in that are more than what we have. I just want to lay that out there, because I'll do whatever you want me to do, but I just don't want it to be, these things weren't mentioned and they were brought up as potential outcomes.
So if we get, I would like us to have a workshop on this. This is not the time to discuss and go into like depth of how it works, because obviously maybe government's different than what I'm used to, okay? So I agree with the mayor. I think this needs to be a workshop item. Obviously, it's not a 911 workshop item because we have a few months. It'd be great once we have a city manager, have them handle us, because we've got time to get with it, especially if we have until, June of next year. I guess it's up to you to let us know when do we need to make decisions and get things out for an RFP, but I would definitely like a workshop, so if you can put that in your notes for the next city manager, let's get educated on it.
Could I ask a question, sir? Yes, we will do that. I want to make sure that gets in. We'll do a workshop either before new person's in or, right after, shortly thereafter. But for clarification before you vote, I just want to make sure that we are renewing the contract, the insurance contract with Brown & Brown, and then we're going to go out for an RFP for next year, correct?
Specifically only for Brown & Brown.
Yes, I just wanted to get that clarification before you vote. Thank you.
And then we will have a workshop on the other two, as the Vice Mayor has.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is the motion clear?
Yes. It is clear.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by the Vice Mayor. Can we please vote? The motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
This time, we're going to go to City Commission special reports, and I am going to go down the line. We'll start with Commissioner Burbank. Any special reports or requests?
No, sir, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Avila Vasquez, any special requests or reports?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner McCool, and special reports or requests?
Yes, sir, I do have for the city manager, as I mentioned when we were going down through the budget and the millage rate, that in order for us to be forward-facing to our constituency, that we if we can get consensus, we talk about doing a quarterly budget report to our residents, and that there was something that a former city manager, Mr. Peters, had, which was a dashboard, I forget if it was weekly or monthly, that showed the products that were going on, because I believe that when people see where their money is working, they have less objection to, what's going on. So if we can make that happen, I don't know how that happened before, but we did have a dashboard, just so that there is some accountability. I know that we do a lot of work. I know that the department, the PIO department, has been pushing out a lot of that online, but I would request that we do in a format that we can push it out to, if you can go back and look, and we can push that format out, and that we take lessons learned from this year as moving forward, as the city attorney has talked about, and making these part of a budgetary policy, because we had constituency that is enlightened and every year used to a certain budgetary process, and I ask that we develop one that is agreeable to our constituency, so that is shown, because one man's fat is another man's necessity. A scoreboard might not be important to people that don't play sports, but the huge population that plays sports and pays tax money would like to enjoy that. So I think that there has to be accountability. I mean, we have a lot of different needs in the city, and based on who you are, what your need is, what you think is important is going to be different. So I just want to make sure that we have more involvement next year. So that is my special request. Thank you.
So would you like consensus?
Yes, please.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Caldwell, sorry. Commissioner Jody Lee. Vice Bradford. Commissioner Avila Vasquez. Commissioner Burbank. And I say yes myself, so you have your consensus. All right. Commissioner Caldwell, any special requests? Caldwell, I apologize. I feel the pain too, trust me. Commissioner Jody Lee.
No.
No special requests. Vice Mayor Bradford.
Can you please give us an update when we're going to have the meeting and the ordinance for review for the kenneling?
Yes, that's going to come up in comments in a few minutes, if that's okay.
Thank you.
And I was going to have city attorney chime in once I do.
Thank you.
And then I did have a few special requests that I'm hoping this dais would entertain. So to Commissioner McCool's point, I actually wrote down some bullet points that I'll be more than happy to email you, Mr. Wickham, about a budget policy plan. And I would hope that we can get some workshops done on this and have it in place before the city manager comes in. And city attorney, I don't know if this is even possible, but does the policy plan, is it something where if a new manager comes in, they are not allowed to dictate any changes unless it comes for the dais?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have somebody, a new person coming in that really doesn't know the city, I mean, I think that having that kind of budget policy based on what your experiences have been, I think would be helpful to a new person.
Okay.
And that you can, and then all you have to do is make that individual understand that you want it followed, and if they want to make changes, they have to bring it forward.
So here's the suggestions, and they're not a lot, that I'm going to make for that policy plan, and I hope that we get in these workshops, we talk a little more about it. But sometime in January, start working on that strategic plan, because that relates to the budget. Sometime in February, start getting the budgets ready for all capital projects. Department budgets should be done sometime in March, and by June, we have at least 3 public workshops specifically on budgets. And these should be at least some type of, at least toward the end, a line item budget, so the residents are aware of what's happening. I think if we do something like this and it's open to change or whatever, right, we would have less residents demanding transparency, because with all honesty, I agree with the last budget we had was, I mean, I don't feel like it was adequate for our residents. So, and I only blame myself because I allowed it continue with the former city manager. And I'm not trying to beat him up, but it's the truth. The other request I have, Florida Business Expo is the next that gets done every year in Sanford. They brought in a couple $100,000 to the local economy. They are enthusiastic, excited, whatever you want to call it, to do it here in Deltona. They're not asking us for any money. They're asking us for us to let them use the center on a Friday. And I would like consensus from dais. I will tell you that maybe somebody in our sister city is probably too happy that it's coming to Deltona, but I care about Deltona. I don't care about any other city that this is coming from, right? Respect. So if the commission would allow this to happen at the expense of letting them use a center for, I believe, only a couple hours, that would be amazing. So I'll go down the line. Commissioner Burbank. Commissioner Avila Vasquez. Commissioner Dana McCool?
Yes.
Commissioner Jody Lee? Commissioner Caldwell? I right this time? Colwell. I'm going to get it, I promise. Yes. Vice Mayor Bradford?
Yes.
Just forgot to put my last name in there.
All right. So I guess we don't have to wait for Commissioner Burbank. So, okay.
Request for the American.
Yes, I have it here. So I believe you already mentioned presentation from Kim Castro. So this dais is aware of all the grants that are coming through, so I don't even have to bring that up. But I would still like the American way to do a presentation of this dais to the commission and even to the public. That way we could see maybe some in the future may change. I'm very grateful for everything Volusia has done, but sometimes you need to change things up. So can we get consensus on that from the dais? On allowing the American way to do a presentation to the dais, to the commission. I'll start with Commissioner Avila Vasquez.
Yes.
Commissioner Dana McCool.
Yes.
Commissioner Jody Lee.
Yes.
Commissioner Coldwell. Cole, I was going to say it right this time. Vice Mayor Bradford.
Yes.
Thank you. That's it. That's all my special requests.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
I just need to just mention again that Mr. Labasso, Dr. Tom Labasso is requesting to come up, speak, to give city an update on Deltona State College across from us, and let us know the status of it.
Oh, happy birthday, Tom. I think it's
Good.
today.
So are you looking for a consensus for that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have an issue, Vice Mayor?
Most definitely.
Okay, Commissioner, cool. Everybody's okay with that, so you have that. We're going to go on to city attorney comments. We're done with public comments at this time. This is your first time here?
Yeah.
I'm going to allow it, this is the first time, but
It's a request that I want to make. I know you were talking about that.
so if it's a request, then send me an email and I will get back to you.
I sent one before, but I never got an answer. Not to you.
Send me an email. I will respond to you.
But I just want to take 5 minutes. Is that something?
Send me an email. I will respond back to you. City attorney?
Okay, I know the city manager, has interim manager, I'm sorry, Glenn. I paired the ordinance that is creating a new section 14-7B in chapter 14 for animals, and it relates to cruelty to animals, and we're following Florida statute, and it's already been said, I think first or second week of October is going to be the first hearing. It's very simple. It's not changing all of animals. It's just dealing with this particular issue. And we have state statutes. So basically it says it has to do with confinement of animals without sufficient food, water, and exercise that involves a change of air, which is the language that state uses.
What do they use for kenneling?
We can't use kenneling. Kenneling is a term of art with regards to the actual kenneling of animals. And so that is not, everything I've heard about the Brock, that is not the issue. The issue is he being exercised, and is he, being walked, and those kinds of things. And that is what is called the change of air.
Okay.
So we can't use the term kenneling.
Okay, so is that, it's under, like, if I take my fur baby to a location because I'm leaving town, right? And they put it in, those little cages, that's what I call them. What's the verbiage for that? Is that what that is, change of air?
There is in state law, if you board your dog, that is more in the kenneling thing. And while you board your dog for 5 days, there's no requirement that any of the kennel has to go walk them. We're talking about a situation that is existing on a daily basis or a weekly basis. So that's why it's section 828.13 of state law, and it deals with the confinement of animals. That's not the same as kenneling, and so that's why we're using this section and not kenneling, because it is a different process when you board a dog, and that is typically what kenneling is.
Okay, and I guess my concern, because this lady did call me up as well, and she said, well, it may be in the cage during the day, but takes it out at night. So is there a requirement of hours during the day? I mean, the concern is obviously, you've got 100 degrees outside, you've got an animal out there, so will that cover that? Not just saying, oh, well, 12 hours out of the day, it's going to be taken out of the cage when nobody sees it.
There is a limit to what the public who doesn't like how Barack is being treated.
It's not just Barack, it's a lot.
No, but this is the one that seems to be an issue. Code enforcement has talked to the lady with regard to that dog and the issues and the problems that she has faced also. I emailed the mayor on a number of those things. I thought everybody was copied on it. But anyway, this is a provision that we can use to deal with the questions. What I've heard is I went out and looked at the situation. He has adequate shelter. He has food and water and shade. But the issue they're raising is that that the change of air, which what state statute uses, they're saying he's not getting exercise, he's not being walked, that he's just being confined defined, which is different than the definition for being kenneled.
Should say clean water.
Excuse me?
Should say clean water. It says water. Doesn't say clean water. It says water. And that's how you determine adequacy, is verbiage. Verbiage in law is everything.
No, I know, but the difficulty we have is some of these things, I mean, we're going to send folks out there to check the type of water. And, you know, I mean, some of this is, I don't like to use any word in an ordinance that I can't determine what the definition of it is. And so to me, water is water unless you're going to specify.
Then let's go drink out of the lake and tell all of our people that they can just drink lake water if we're determining water. There's a reason that clean water is used.
That's fine, then put the word clean in there. I'm not objecting to that, but I mean.
Here, so we're not falling out of track, right?
Yeah.
The concern I have, and I think I related this to you several times, I have several people that own acres here in Deltona that have met with me, are extremely concerned, very worried about Barack. They want well-being for Barack, but also concerned, for example, the one family that came, they kennel their dogs at night because there's coyotes and they don't want their dog to get hurt. They're afraid that and of course, all verbiage, right? And that's the problem we run into.
Yes.
They're afraid that they're going to be in there for 8 hours through the night, whatever hours they sleep, and then they're going to get code enforcement or get in trouble because they're. Dana, I get it. You know, it's all in the bridge. I want to make sure that all our residents are protected. We pass a law; they have consequences. I want to make sure that to fill a problem, we don't create another one. And then there was a whole issue of, that's why I wanted to make sure it's only dogs, because then the issue was, well, I have some goats that are in, and I don't know what, I guess with acreage in Deltona, but.
We're confining billy goats? Okay.
I'm just saying, it's just a dog, right?
Yes, you're
dogs.
going to see this,
Okay.
and this will have, it's an ordinance, it's going to have to go through 2 readings. You can make changes in the first one, and then we go on to the second. But the problem is that we have to be, I agree, it's all about language, but we have to be able, because the code enforcement officer has to be able to go out there and figure out what they're supposed to be enforcing out there, and how far do we go? So.
All right, city manager, go ahead.
Good evening again. The ordinance for the animal ordinance will be coming, the first reading will be October the 1st, which is the next meeting that we have. Then it has to be, the
October
2nd, I'm sorry. Here I go with the dates again at this last time, I'm sorry. October the 2nd, and then it'll be posted for the second and final reading.
On November 6th, because I need 50 days from the hearing to go back, have somebody get me the actual title of that ordinance, provided it doesn't change, so that I can go ahead and advertise it. So I need 15 days, which is why we always skip a meeting, because if you guys change that ordinance, I won't have time for that second reading in October. I won't have time to change the ad.
Okay, so that's the first thing. A couple more quick things for you. There was a request made, and I want to try to get a consensus presentation. I'm sorry, presentation for Barracks of Hope construction. I would like to get consensus if we can get a presentation on that and come before the commission on the next meeting.
I believe that the Volusia County where the homeless shelter is that correct, for the veterans?
This is private enterprise. This is Barracks of Hope, housing veterans. They want to do a presentation here. They have an amazing program already over in Daytona. Commissioner Stacey Antu is involved with this. Senator Wright is involved with us. There are a lot of...
I don't have a problem with presentation, just the dais needs to be aware they are requesting a $25,000 donation from the dais, from the city. Just throwing that out there. Let's hear it, but after this, I mean, I'm not supporting certain things. You have my support on presentation.
So I need a full consensus though, please.
Commissioner Cole? Commissioner McCool?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bradford?
Yes.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez?
Yes.
You have your consensus for the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Can we add to that? So if you're going to be doing a presentation from them, then I would suggest you bring back in to do a presentation on this, because we just turned down, I believe, sending them money as well. So if we're going to be bringing groups in that are going to be helping in that area, we need to get a presentation from the individuals so we can educate and decision if we are going to do anything. Does anybody have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with that.
So we're going to compare apps, that way we can tell who's going to be doing what, because like I said, we just kicked 50 grand out of the budget to help bridge, so.
Veterans are only asking for 25,000, so I don't think there's any comparison there, but I don't have a problem bringing them back to do a presentation. But again, $25,000 difference is a lot. Veterans are only asking for 25,000 if it's approved.
Commissioner Coldwell, do you have an issue with another presentation? I do not. All right, so you have permit for both presentations.
Okay, thank you. The RFP for the manager search went out on Thursday, last Thursday the 14th. Give me 1 second here. Let me shuffle folders. Thought I had it right here on top. I will have the Sandy email tomorrow, the schedule, the proposed schedule for, including the RFP. I'll just verbally talk about it now. I may not have dates exactly right, but the proposal was out 30 days, will be out for 30 days. That means it should be in, and I'm looking at Joyce, it should be in where we can bring it back to the commission at a special meeting so that you can do spring and ranking by November 1st. You'll have that ranking done. And then you will decide at that point if you want to have the firms come in for any kind of interviews, or you're just going to settle for that, just ranking and scoring them. So Joyce, what was the date? It was 30 days that the RFP is due back.
Yeah, 30 days is the 13th, and then we were going to have everything to you on the 17th of October, and then you guys would have 15 days to look at that and then come back and rank. And I believe we're going to try and have a special meeting. You guys can score all the RFPs. Yes.
How much time are we going to have to review those?
You have 2 weeks.
15 days. You guys had requested 30 days out RFP, 15 days for you to review, then you have to bring them back to score.
So I found the timeline. I apologize. So 9/14, the RFP was sent out and the legal ads placed. 10/13, that's the 30-day deadline for the RFP responses. Then 10/17 of 23, RFP responses and score sheets provided to the commission, and I'll have them send this out in an email tomorrow so that you all have it. 10/31 would be the 15-day review deadline for commission score sheets. And then we can, if it's the will of the commission, we can do a special commission meeting on November the 1st, go over the RFP response and score sheet. And then you all would decide whether you wanted to choose a top firm from those score sheets and the ranking, or if you want to interview firms. And then 11/16 would be a special commission meeting to interview the search firm if you decide to do that on the 1st.
Thank you. Anything else?
And
What did you say about November 11th?
The 1st.
First.
I said the 9th.
Thank you.
Welcome. Is that it, Mr. Wickham?
One more quick thing. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's been requested that we look at the possibility of doing a 5-day run in February, around February the 23rd. I'll bring that back later on, but just something we're throwing out there doing as a need for the city. And that's all I have, sir.
Can we get a cost?
Yes, I'll get all the
information.
information.
To pick on the. Are they asking for me to run?
Excuse me?
Were they asking to run in that?
Were they asking
the whole dice?
The mayor?
Yeah, the mayor can run it. I'll run with it. Well, right about.
I'll hold the auction.
So anyway, I'll get back with you for more information. I just wanted to throw that out to you.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go down city mission comments. We'll start with Commissioner Valerie.
Thank you, Mayor. let's see, I just want to answer a question that came up by one of the residents about the emails. We do have, well, at least I can speak for myself, I do have a message that goes out whenever an email is sent to me. And it has instructions, if it's an emergency, excuse me, numbers and who to reach. And just want to let everybody know that when you send an email to all commissioners, our administratives also get a copy of it. So if one of us don't answer, they respond immediately to the department that handles the problem that's being to us. So someone is always looking at those emails, and our interim city manager also gets a copy automatically with all the issues that come to via email. So I just want to let everybody know, emails don't go unread or unanswered. And when we don't answer it, it's because our staff has already taken care of it. And Marsha, I want to thank you for bringing up and updating policy for Barack. I know I went around there, I took pictures, I think I sent it to Glenn. It was heartbreaking for us who love animals, because I have 3 little dogs. So I think the issue, and I'll continue with repeating it, but I think the issue that residents are having is seeing a dog enclosed and not being able to have any freedom to run here and there. I know that we also went to the Crime Stoppers event, and one of our detectives, and he's going to kill me because I can't remember his name, got an award, one of our Deltona detectives, which we were very proud of. Other than that, everything is it's okay outside. Thank you, everyone, for being out here, and get home safe.
Commissioner Dana McCool.
I would like to thank all of our residents for coming out this evening. It was very spirited, and that's what we need to keep debate alive. I welcome everyone and embrace all of our residents that come out, and thank you for that. It is difficult, and those that were nervous, I encourage you to come back out and get a regular part of your civic responsibility. So some we learn from. I know that I've gotten a great education on decorum and responding to residents' concerns and complaints. I would like to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to do that. Thank you so very much for doing that this evening and being a part of the budget process and the millage rate. So thank you all very much.
Commissioner Coldwell? Nothing. I only have one comment, and that's, we get elected, we just got to do a little bit better when it comes to workshops. Let's make sure that commission as a whole is showing up to these workshops. I'm not singling anyone out, but I understand times we have to miss them, but continuously over and over, we have to make sure we show up to these. And I'm also requesting from this dais that we make sure we stay all the way to the end. I have residents that are here still waiting. So city attorney, city manager, we all need to stay at the end. Commission, we all need to stay at the end. So that's it. Meetings adjourned. Have a good night.
Thank you.